Hey, kids. You're listening to the internet's wettest podcast about video games, consoles, and pancakes. The SML Podcast.
Prepare for the SML Podcast.
What's up, everybody? This is the SML Podcast. I'm your host, Joe. Let's see, who's here tonight? We've got a Horror Acolyte here. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm not doing too bad tonight. A little better than usual, I guess.
Cool. Chris Taylor's here. How are you doing, buddy?
Hey, doing all right. Very tired. Just going through a whirlwind of temp jobs but luckily got some good things in the mail, like got my analog 3D system.
Ooh.
And my my Blu-ray print of the new Naked Gun film, which I saw in the theaters and really liked, but Amazon did this thing where they just stuck the UPS sticker just right to the box and then just put the box in my mailbox. The actual case, the Blu-ray case.
Was the case shrink wrap?
No.
Oh, that
So it was
sucks.
like right on the slip cover.
Yeah. Right on the
It
cardboard.
used to be the bubble
Bullshit.
envelope.
It sucks when you order from Amazon anymore. You got to make sure that there's like some of them say does not ship in Amazon packaging, and you got to
I know
check
it's
and be
fulfilled
like,
by Amazon.
put it in a box.
It was sold out everywhere else is the only listing I could do, so I just was like, well, whatever. But the sticker peeled off fine. It's fine. It was just annoying.
As you heard, Pernell is here. How are you doing, my dude?
Oh yeah.
Sleepy, but bundling fine. Just moving from point A to point B. Just had a game night. Now I'm eating dinner, but I have a metal cap in my mouth, so eating sucks.
Oof.
But yeah, the other ones kept breaking, so until the real one comes in, I'm stuck with this metal piece of garbage. Oh.
Well, stop breaking shit, and because the person who breaks shit here is Aki. He is the professional shit breaker.
I haven't broken a game 3 times while we've been chatting. Totally.
Which
Yeah.
game? Are we?
You'll
allowed
find
to
out.
say-
You're gonna find out later today because I'm gonna cuss about it. I'm sure.
Oh, geez. Now I'm worried which one it is.
A cheap one, so don't worry too much. Though I'll probably cuss on most of them. It is me after all.
Yeah, you.
Oh shit! I did break the expensive one too.
Showtime.
And we got an Andy Sperry popping in right on cue. How are you doing, my man?
Yo, Andy Showtime Sperry. What's up, guys?
Like we were literally doing the intros, and
Oh, sick, dude. Perfect.
Aki was the last one to be announced as here, and then you popped in.
Not
Perfect
anymore.
timing.
Let's go.
Hey, you're taking my
And now
thunder,
we're all here.
bitch.
Oh, so sorry. Here, introduce me and then reintroduce Aki again. So,
Okay, Andy
No,
Sperry's
the
here.
moment's
How are
over.
you doing, my dude?
just got off work, dude. Just kicking.
Well,
butt,
you don't
kicking
fucking
names.
matter because Aki's here. Aki, how are you?
I'm great, especially with that intro. I feel hyped now.
That's
Fuck.
the best one yet.
Yeah, I try.
What's up, guys?
Hey, Aki.
Go fuck yourself!
Later on.
Nice.
Oh, how's everybody's weekend been? The past week, even. I know we skipped last week's show. I had some shit going on, and we had to skip it. So we have an extra long lineup of games this week. But how was everyone's week? Anybody do anything fun?
No.
Started work.
Yeah, same.
I've had a couple not so fun things happen.
I went to PAX.
Would you do a PAX U?
Yes.
Philly? Board game one?
Yeah.
How'd that go?
Yes. Spent a lot of money. Had a lot of fun. Sleepy all the time. I learned that I need to get back to lifting weights because games are heavy.
Pernell in January. I'm not buying any board games this year. Pernell in November. I bought a lot of fucking board games this year.
At PAX. That's at PAX. It's okay there.
I feel like but okay.
It is totally okay there. So I'm also doing I'm doing monthlies. So I did Steam already. I did Fanatical. I did the PlayStation Store. I did the Xbox Store. Now I got to do the board game shopping. I'm not even worried about physicals anymore because that's so rare at this point in time. It doesn't even come across it doesn't even make a dent. So once I get all those done, I sit down and go, all right, put it on the refrigerator. Here's the budget. Less than this.
I got a board game recently.
What one?
What is it?
I got a specialized Monopoly game, but it's all dragons.
Oh.
What's it called? Dragopoly?
I guess that's what it's called. I don't actually know the name. It's at my mom's house.
Then
you haven't seen the box yet?
It's still mine.
Did you play it?
I have not yet, no.
Did you touch it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
You made it seem like it was just at her house and you never actually got it.
It stays at her house just because I don't have anyone to play with here. So the only time I'm going to play it will be at her house with my family.
Monopoly. So. I'm amazed you could find anyone to play a game anywhere. I like Monopoly just fine.
My mom loves Monopoly.
Like the damn devil.
Oh, I hate Monopoly so much.
I love it.
I don't particularly like Monopoly myself, but it has dragons, so I will make an exception.
Bit Wormspan, that's what you want for dragons. Or Flamecraft.
Our buddy Doc Havoc, Ian, will come visit like before we go to MagFest, and he'll stay a couple days, hang out. Or we'll just come down like over the summer, chill for a weekend. And he'll always go back, no matter what games I have on my system, no matter how many hundreds or thousands of games he has access to, he'll always keep coming back to Monopoly just because he loves fucking over the computer in that game.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
The concept of fucking over the computer confuses me. I suck at Monopoly. I can't even fuck over people.
That's a problem.
Yeah,
it is.
Chris, you mentioned an analog pocket. How is that? What is it? What's it do?
Not the pocket, the 3D.
Oh.
Yeah, it's the Nintendo 64 system that they made.
Oh.
It's just a really, really fancy Nintendo 64.
Gotcha. Anything?
Yeah,
any
it does
special features with it?
Yeah, it's just like it plays it in like really good like direct quality essentially, so it's not like upscaled or anything. It's not an emulator, so they don't upscale anything, but you can have it overclock the system. It's got really good like shaders and things like that. You can just put a bunch of ROMs
will
on
actually
it.
work well.
Right, yeah, there's things like that. Yeah. But hang on a second. Actually, move on for just a second. I'm trying to communicate something right quick.
Gotcha. Pernell, board games, would you buy?
Too many. Way too many.
And anything anyone would know, or did you just like buy every variant of Uno they had?
No, I wouldn't do that. I like Uno,
cool.
but I'm not buying it up like
flip.
that. There's like a couple noodles out there now. They're trying to really change that model up.
Did you see the new DLC they put out for Uno on console and PC?
No.
It's called Show 'em No Mercy. It is a $5 DLC pack, and it includes cards like Wild Draw 10.
So they definitely got involved in introducing like stack rules and stuff. That's pretty cool.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Drop a 7 to swap hands with the player of your choice.
I like that.
This is a house rule, but they added in here, draw until you can play.
Yeah, see, that's a house rule that we used to use sometimes too. It can get pretty.
And then there's the mercy rule. If your hand has 25 or more cards, you're out.
Dang, that's wild. I've definitely been
Get
there.
out of the game, you nobody. But that in itself could be part of the fun. I could appreciate that. Appreciate all that. And a bag of chips. But, that's Monopoly in a nutshell. It's a brave new world.
It's Uno. I'm talking about Uno.
I'm tired. I'm talking about Uno
so
too. But Uno, when we were kids, we used to do the whole thing where you could counter wilds and draw twos with draw fours.
Yeah,
and stuff
man.
like that.
House rules made shit so fun in Uno.
Yes, they did. I was a big fan of that mess.
I thought the countering a draw 2 with a draw 4 and a draw 4 with a draw 2 was part of the game. I didn't realize that was the house rules.
House rules, yeah.
Definitely house rules. In the original game, if you were hit with that, you had no way around it. You had to do it. And I didn't like that.
Interesting.
Also,
I've never apparently played standard rules. I've always apparently played house rules. I just thought that was the house rule.
Fun fact, most people didn't play real Uno rules before.
Yeah, a lot of people just did it their own way. Have fun with it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they
were taught
do
by
shit like
people.
this in the DLC. Like everyone else does it, let's add it to the game.
Yep. Or they just taught it to basically the people who taught it to other people. They taught it to them in the way that they were familiar with playing it. So for the most part, you learn how they learned it. And that's just the nature of the beast.
Indeed.
But I still like Monopoly. I'm okay with it. Just kind of have to play it by the proper rules or it'll take too damn long if you don't. Hero Quest. I never got to play that actually. But I've heard it's
I know they re-released it.
I think they did actually.
We are getting raided.
Oh no.
Matt's screaming his head off. Lloyd, thanks for coming in. Hope your stream went well. How are you doing tonight?
Hello, Lloyd. How are you?
Lloyd.
Lord.
We're just farting around. We're about to kick into reviews in a few minutes here. Anything anyone else want to chat about before we dive into them?
My God. Nothing that comes to mind. Like I said, my brain is on jump time right now.
My back is on num time. I don't know what the hell happened. But over the weekend, my lower left back has just completely knotted up or something. I don't know if I have a pinched nerve. I don't know if I have loose hardware in my spinal fusion. I don't know if it's just a muscular thing. I have been sitting here with a TENS unit on my back that maxes out at an hour, literally for 3.5 hours now, nonstop.
Jesus.
Shocking. I am in so much pain these past few days.
That's
That sounds
I'm
pretty
sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it sucks.
The
Ashley
joys
was
of getting old.
Ashley was like, did you want to run to the weed store before we kind of run out of money so we could stock up in case we need it? And I'm like, I can't walk. No, can't do it.
Mhm.
3 minutes to get out of bed.
Ooh,
Not even an exaggeration.
that's
Sucks.
big oof
It hurts.
energy.
It is.
Can you go to the doctor and maybe they can look into the why of it all?
First, I want to get to the point where I'm hopefully able to move again. I really don't know if I could get into a car and then get back out.
Oh, it's that bad.
Yeah.
Oof.
It is. Oof. Part of me wonders if it's the new chair. If it's just not sitting well with my spine and my back. But
I could see something like that being the case sometimes. Those things can get really chunky.
Lloyd, maybe you are getting old.
There's no maybe about that.
No, that's
Hold
not
on. I
getting
have
old.
a button for this. Let me find it real quick. Hey, Lloyd.
Go fuck yourself. You raggedy bitch.
Is Lloyd someone you know, or is this a
Yes.
random guy?
Yes.
Oh, just making sure.
Yeah,
dang.
we know Lloyd. He's great.
He's good peoples. And then Big Adam has a message for everyone in chat right now.
You bag of fucks!
Fair.
Quality message.
I love our soundboard.
I ended up playing the new Magic the Gathering set the other weekend of Avatar: The Last Airbender.
How many crossovers are they doing with Magic now?
Oh,
as many as they can, because they really want to bleed that fucking
Did
dry.
Magic turn into Fortnite when I wasn't looking?
Yeah, years ago.
Okay, so obviously Fortnite has seen a lot of success with the crossovers. So in recent history, they just had the Final Fantasy Magic set that released earlier this year, start of the year, I believe it was.
It sold like gangbusters.
That was the best-selling Magic set of all time in pre-sales. It outsold everything else in pre-sales before the set even came out.
And you couldn't find them for months.
And in some stores, it was like sold out. And so that sold like phenomenally. And because of that, there's going to be so many crossovers. Like this year alone, I think they have. This year coming up, they have I think 5 or 6 plans. And like the Spider-Man one that just came out not too long ago didn't sell very well. So that obviously maybe tapered their expectations a little bit. I don't think the Turtles one's going to sell well starting next year. But the Avatar one that just released did pretty well. Yeah, Ninja Turtles.
When's the Family Guy DLC or expansion coming out?
Some of them are just like, I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, and I thought adding Spider-Man to the game was just stupid. Like, that was ridiculous. Thematically, it doesn't make any sense. Final Fantasy made tons of sense. The set was thematically lined up with Magic very well. Avatar: The Last Airbender, again, also lined up with Magic very well. Turtles, not so much. I don't think that's going to line up that well, much like Spider-Man. Then they have like a Star Trek one at the end of the year. But anyways.
What the...
Like, it's kind of silly
overall.
Magic.
They're
had a story when I was a
wall.
kid.
Yeah, but Hasbro owns it now, so they don't care.
At this point, just do a bunch of RPGs, and then people could say I'm battling characters across various RPGs and Magic. That would be the thing.
I mean, if they didn't fuck up Dungeons and Dragons, they maybe could have done that, but Hasbro is
do it with Magic.
Stupid.
Like they did Final Fantasy. The next thing would probably be like the Tales franchise. Throw some Tales characters in there. And then you're like, okay, here we got Dragon Warrior or Dragon Quest, whatever. Hell, no, Dragon Quest will be the next one. Because then you have Final Fantasy versus Dragon Quest, and you know people will be doing that. Like, that's easy fucking money.
Yeah, they might have more JRPGs at some point. Who knows?
I can't wait for the Mortal Kombat pack.
Yeah, you never know what's going to come up. Like, I feel like it might depend on the success of kind of like the off, like kind of track brand ones, like the Spider-Man one and the Turtles one and Star Trek. Since Spider-Man didn't do very well, like I said, I don't think Turtles will end up doing that well, and probably Star Trek by the same kind of vein, but we'll see.
It might be banking on the same crossover appeal. In that case, like, it doesn't fit thematically, but people love Star Trek.
I am going to tap 4 and 3 black to play Kano. Oh, yeah.
What's
really?
weird?
I'm going to tap 5 and 2 red. Here's Elmo. Suck it, bitch.
What's weird, though, is they just had a set called Edge of Eternities that released not too long ago that had a lot of themes that could be seen in, like, a Star Trek kind of setting. Like, they had these battleship things that you station and, like, crew characters into, kind of. And, like, it would fit perfectly with Star Trek. I don't know if they'll have some of those same mechanics in the Star Trek set. I wouldn't be surprised if they did. But, I thought that was kind of odd once they announced the Star Trek set. But, yeah. Anyways, the game's going in a weird direction.
Magic has jumped every shark, which will lead to the Happy Days expansion in 2027. The Fawns Chromium Edition card is going to be worth thousands. It's limited one of one, like the One Ring.
So you joke about like
Fonzie?
That'd be tight.
You joke about weird crossovers, but they also have these special promo cards that come out. They come out in packs of like, I think it's like 6 to 10 kind of thing. And they're like special like art versions of older cards that have already been released usually, sometimes newer cards that aren't released. But one of the sets that came out just recently was a Furby themed one.
Jesus
and there was
Christ.
like a couple like cute Furby ones. And then there was like monstrous Furby ones. And yeah, anyways, you saying Elmo kind of reminded me of that one.
I miss those days when I would play Magic in high school. It was like during lunch. We actually had it banned during lunch because everyone played so much. You could play it in like in the cafeteria before class started. You could play it in any free periods. You could not play it at lunch because there were multiple fist fights over spilled drinks onto cards.
Yeah, actually, I'd be pretty mad.
Somebody lost a Jester's cap from Ice,
like a real one?
Ice Age. I think that was
like the card in that set when it came out.
It was. The first time I ever played Magic, I bought a starter deck. Okay, not the first time, the second time, because I got into it a few years before and then stopped. All my friends then got into it. I'm like, all right, I'll get back in. I bought a starter deck. First card in there, Jester's Cap. And my friend was like, fuck you. Like, what? Like, did you really just pull a Jester's Cap in your first pack? Like, what's that mean? Fuck you. He was so pissed.
Sounds about right.
But speaking of school, should we talk about the first game for reviews tonight called Demonschool?
Sure. If we have to, I guess.
Is that for a segue?
Pretty good.
Good one, yeah.
Adequate.
First game to talk about tonight is Demonschool, developed by Necrosoft Games, published by Ysbryd Games, released November 19th, Xbox One, Series X and S, Switch, PS4, PS5, and PC for $24.99. Demonschool is a new style tactical RPG where motion equals action. Defeat big weirdos in between the human and demon worlds as Faye and her misfit companions while navigating university life on a mysterious island. Pernell, how was the mysterious island? And did you graduate from Demonschool?
Oh, spooky. So in the context of this game, you play as the primary character, Faye, who is she is attending a school on the island of Hensk. And on this island, she is actually a demon hunter who's secretly, not really secretly, but she's primarily there with the intent being to stop the apocalypse, which was foretold to her by her older relatives. Basically, it was passed down generation to generation in her family. So she is here to get down to business, and the game does not in any way whatsoever lead into that slowly. While going here, she meets another person named Namako, and she kind of forcefully becomes friends with her, which is kind of funny in its own right. And they form the first pair of characters you get, of which there will be many that you'll find throughout the course of the adventure. The game takes place over a series of 10 weeks in game time, not real time, obviously. And during this, it kind of has a sort of vibe that would be reminiscent of the later Persona games in regards to the calendar structure. Though I appreciate that when it comes to certain events, which I'll talk about in a bit, they aren't as strict about it. And I also appreciate that even though I mentioned the commonality between the calendar system of the later Persona games, the aesthetic vibe that it puts off, and one of the main reasons why I was interested in this game in the first place, is because that is more akin to Persona 1, the one that I like the most. So what I mean by that is like every area you go to kind of has like a weird diorama-esque vibe to it, and the characters kind of walk. The levels are kind of in a diagonal slant as opposed to just being directly face down in cardinal directions or orthogonal directions. The way the game progresses in a general sense is that you go on a series of interesting adventures between morning, evening, and night. And during these periods of time, you can explore various areas of Hensk Island. And when you go to these locations, which are just nodes on a drop-down list, You can interact with the townsfolk, occasionally engage in not missions, but like just various dialogues that can lead to side quests. Vendors, what lets you sell you things for your clubhouse that might be decorative, or techniques and items that you can use, which I'll talk about also in a few minutes. However, at certain points in time, the thing that really matters, which will occur in the game, is the battle system, which is very much going to be a love it or hate it, depending on who you are when you experience it. Because the battle system in this game, to me anyway, feels more like a puzzle game, like a Sokoban sort of vibe. Because you're not actually pushing blocks unless you get the push friend abilities, but you are attacking by way of motion. Where you see, in a typical tactical game with a map where you're on one side and the enemies are on the other, you are able to guide your characters by saying something like, hey, you have a movement range of X, you move 1 space or 2 spaces, your choice, blah, blah, blah. This game doesn't do that. Instead, it has a very clever use of an action point system where you'll use it to control all your characters at the same time during a turn. You can spend action points, initially starting with 1 point, and for each additional action for another character, or for that same character, it increases the need by 1. So the first action will take 1 action point, the second will take 2, the third will be 3, and so on. And there's a very specific pool of like 10 action points available for the entire team in a battle round. Your movement is full. So you have a range of 2. You can only go 2 spaces when you go forward or diagonal. If you bump into an enemy, you will do damage to them. However, there is an interesting side mechanic you can pull off where you can sidestep by moving left to right, your character's orientation, mind you, left to right, and you can then move again without burning an actual action point, so long as that person does both actions in sequence. So you might say, hey, these enemies are in a line of 3. I want to attack them, but I am offline by 1 zone. I'll go left 1 and then go up. When you hit enemies, if there are any enemies behind them, you will do a sort of a collision system, and they will all take damage like in sequence. So, one guy in the front takes damage, and another, so all of them take 1 damage. There is no equipment in this game. Instead, characters have a very base structure for how damage is done. You have 3 hit points, and any enemy you attack in a general sense, you do 1 damage to them. And in addition, likewise, an enemy will do 1 damage to you. But there are elemental strengths and weaknesses, and if you get hit by elemental strength, 2 damage is dealt. If you get hit by elemental resistance, no damage is dealt. So there's a little bit of a fine dance to that, choosing who to attack with what, sometimes activating an ability. What abilities? Well, I'll talk about that in a second, but activating an ability that might change your attack to a different elemental type in order to use that to your advantage, and kind of just playing around with that. In addition, as you do all these various attacks, you will charge up a special gauge. Max up the special gauge, and you gain access. I don't know.
Burger Thing dropping a sub for the 22nd month. Thank you as always for hanging out and being here.
He should drop a sub. He's a burger.
I'm hungry now.
I'm
very hungry for a burger.
Yeah. Unfortunately, a burger showed up. Where was I? Oh. So eventually, after doing enough attacks or taking enough damage, you will increase or charge a special gauge, which will activate a special attack that you can pull off. And that can sometimes involve having, again, like I mentioned earlier, changing your elemental damage or whatever. There are also aspects of battle such as combo attacks, which I honestly kind of suck at doing when I want to, and whatever. But despite all the stuff I mentioned about beating up monsters and using special attacks or whatever, the goal of each battle isn't even actually to kill all the enemies in combat, unless you're probably fighting a boss or something. Instead, the game uses an interesting aspect, which doesn't particularly, in my opinion, align with the narrative at times, but it always makes for a fun experience when the actual combat occurs, which is that you're not just trying to kill a bunch of monsters. You're trying to kill a specific number of monsters, and then get to the opposite end of the map with one of your characters to seal the map off. Sealing it basically being explained in the story as sending the demons back to hell where they came from. But it just doesn't seem quite as making much sense when you're fighting, Yakuza thugs and gangsters. Like, where are they going exactly? But whatever. So you might have a battle where it's like, okay, defeat 20 enemies within 4 turns and then seal the map. And if you don't pull that off, you don't lose, but you get a lesser reward at the end of battle, because at the end of every battle, you'll earn opal, which can be used at the shops to buy, like I said, abilities you can equip to your characters, or furniture for your clubhouse. And then the other thing you earn are moons. And the moons are used as another way to learn abilities, because when you buy an ability from the shop or gain one from a sub quest or a relationship quest, you don't just know it. Instead, you have to have 2 students go to research it. And you use those moons as the currency to do it. Research involves choosing 2 students, having them use X number of in-game days to study the product and learn the ability so that it can be equipped by any other character on the board. But they have to wait a number of days to rest in order to be able to do it again. So between that resource and the character's actual in-game time, you're limited by the number of things you can do, or to the number of things you can do by the number of characters you have and the number of days they can do stuff before needing to rest. So, learner beware, as it says. There are side quests that will involve you going to do like relationship quests where you might be doing karaoke or other mini games, for example, to raise relationship levels. You may go fishing. One thing I find kind of hilarious is just how many relationship quests involve battles on their own, but I digress. But for the most part, it ends up being a good time engaging in all these various antics. I can't say I had even too many issues with the game proper. Like, I've been enjoying my time with it. It's a great experience. Some people might not like the combat, though, because, like I said earlier, it feels more like a puzzle game where you're planning these battle moves out, which I also didn't even mention that part. The actual things I described earlier, you get to play around with those bit by way of the planning phase, where you implement the moves, seeing how they play out, and then undoing things that you don't like until you get the perfect battle sequence, then activating it and watching as all the characters do these things in this sort of action motif as they're kicking monsters and pushing them and using flood magic and all sorts of stuff. And it's kind of cool to watch it all come together. But anyway, some people might not like that aspect because some people go into RPGs wanting to level up their characters, which you don't do in this game. There is no level up system. They might want to go and equip items or weapons and armor. You don't do that in this game. And they might just want to be able to say, select action, watch action unfold. You don't do that in this game. You have to think through your actions in this game. But if you're okay with giving this thing that I described a try, I do believe you will be happily pleased with it. I think these guys did a great job with this product. And the characters are also pretty fun, too. Like, you do kind of have to do a bit of suspension of disbelief sometimes because you have these individuals just going to this school on this island and weird stuff immediately starts happening. They get told very early on, if you don't complete this assignment, which is an odd assignment, by the way. If you don't complete this assignment by Friday, you go to prison. You don't get detention. You don't get a failing grade. You go to prison. And while some of them, they are kind of like, what prison? No one actually says, what the fuck is going on? None of this makes sense. They just kind of go along with it. But that's fine because I've been playing video games for like 60 years now. And as far as I'm concerned, I've gotten used to seeing all the weirdness in narratives. It doesn't even faze me anymore. And as a result, I was able to kind of continue onward and enjoy the narrative as they've written it. All in all, I think this game is fun. I do, like I said, I appreciate the love that I think these guys clearly had. And if I'm wrong and they hear they're taking all, by all means, tell me. I appreciate the love they have for the classic Persona games. I would like to see them do more with that vibe, even with the monster designs. Like, it's just, I can clearly tell that's what they're going for. And if I'm wrong, I'll eat crow. Delicious. I recommend this game. I know it's got a love it or hate it relationship with the old internets, but I am of the love it crowd, and I wholeheartedly recommend it to anybody who's willing to give it a try.
Is there a hate it section of the crowd?
Oh, yeah. I've seen one guy straight up say the writing is trash. I'm like, no, I think the writing is fine. I don't know what your beef is with it. I've seen people say that the battles are boring, that they think the monsters are too repetitive, which, I mean, RPGs generally tend to do that, but I think they have quite a decent variety of monsters in this game. Even if the students might be particularly common, there are a decent variety, and they hit you with them in fairly decent order, even. So, I don't know.
If they think that game is boring, wait till they listen to our show. $24.99. What are your thoughts on Demonschool?
I think people should buy Demonschool. I think Demonschool is Demonschool, and I've been waiting all week to say that. And I think it is worth a buy.
Very good. Do that joke again.
What? Demonschool is Demon's Cool. Christ.
Yeah. Next game to talk about, Sacred 2 Remastered, developed by Jumpgate, published by THQ Nordic, provided to us by THQ Nordic. Thank you and appreciate you. Released November 11th, Series X and S, Switch, and PS5 for $29.99, on the PC for $19.99. Aria stands on the brink. T-Energy, the mysterious... T-Energy sounds like a friggin' Monster Energy drink, but whatever. The mysterious power source that once brought prosperity now fuels corruption, conflict, and chaos. Get the caffeine burst of T-Energy. In the midst of war and betrayal, 6 heroes rise, each with their own fate abilities, and path through a living, breathing, open world. Forge your legend. The fate of Ankaria awaits. Aki, what is going on in Sacred 2 Remaster?
Fuck if I know. So, the opening of this shows a battle between various races fighting against monsters that are created from basically an emulsion. For those of you who play Xbox games, Gears of War, it's like kind of like they're pulling up emulsion out of the ground and it broke open, except for it's blue, and it's infecting all the life and bringing skeletons and shit to life. It's just bad mojo stuff that they apparently power all of their shit with, and no one decided, maybe we gotta fucking quit that for some reason. And then the game starts after this little cutscene, and basically you're a new person taking over one of the individuals, whichever race you pick. It seems like the individual that was in the cutscene takes a nice little dirt nap, and you take their spot because I guess you really just want to leave home. I guess I don't know. Because no one's... I played as what I think was maybe an angel-like race thing. I don't know what the hell this is. And, no one summoned me or anything. I just ran into this room where this dying lady was, and she's like, "Oh, may you fight well." And then she fucking died and disappeared, and I was like, "Oh, okay, I guess I'm gonna fuck off that way and figure out what the hell I'm supposed to do here." Yeah, I have no idea what the story to this game is. You occasionally will find people out and about. Most of them are trying to kill you because they're all a bunch of evil assholes. Or maybe you're an evil asshole and they're all heroes. I don't know. But they're labeled as bandits, so I'm saying they're the evil assholes.
They're the evil assholes.
Okay, there we go. And, sometimes they aren't an evil asshole, and you can get a side quest from them. Usually they tell you, hey, kill some of these things, be it a bandit or one of the beasties in the world, or, hey, there's another person in one of these caves. I need you to find them and report back to me. And, of course, there's, 4 or 5 caves in the area, so you have to figure out which one this dipshit is in and go talk to him, and they'll inevitably say, "Oh, I'll get back to him. Thank you." You could have walked, 40 feet and figured that shit out on your own. Why did I need to do this? Whatever. And then you clear the cave of anything that has a heartbeat, because they're glorious, glorious pools of EXP. And leveling up is a premium in this game. You will occasionally find items on basically anything. Typically, monsters have some gold on them. Occasionally, you'll find bits and bobs of other stuff. Humanoid enemies will usually carry a piece of gear that you get, and you have a okayish sized inventory to grab stuff, and then you can equip some of it. Some of it is race specific stuff. There's even consumables, I believe is what they are, because they disappear after I use them, but I don't know what they do. So I just use a bunch of them every time I see them. Probably wasting them. The game has no tutorial. I have no idea what any of this shit is that I'm doing. And
the original game. What was that, Horror?
What?
Oh, Trash Rando redeemed family-friendly mode.
Oh, that's what Trash Rando wanted. No cursing, Aki. I remember playing this. This originally came out in 2009 on 360. I really enjoyed it back then when I played it. I put some time into the new remaster, and like, I'm enjoying it, but it feels janky.
Very dated. Oh yeah, I can't say. It's very janky.
Yeah, it's like I run into issues where I get caught on the world geometry.
Haven't come across that one yet. Interesting.
I'll just be walking around and there'll be like a pebble that I get stuck on. I guess my shoe, like there's a nail in the ground. Maybe I stepped on it. I don't know.
I didn't realize this was originally on the Xbox 360.
Yes.
Because this game feels like it's ported from a PC because so many of the menus just don't work right. Like, it took me a while, but I finally found a place where I could like go to a blacksmith and upgrade my weapons or any other items, but realistically weapons because I want to kill things faster. And the menu was a massive pain. You had to find the weapon, get it, finagle a way to get it onto the blacksmith screen. You had to figure out how to upgrade it because there's some boxes to the side of it that you can put stuff in to upgrade, but it isn't normal stuff. You just kind of click on it and something poofs into existence and it's there. Again, I don't know what I'm doing here, folks, because again, no instructions. And then you have to find a way to get it back into your inventory, and it doesn't like to do that. And if you have the weapon equipped, well, you now have to do a whole bunch of other crap first. Because if you have a shield and a sword, you're gonna have to unequip that shield to get to your sword, so you can go put it in that menu. It just feels like it is made for a mouse. Yeah.
The crazy thing is, like, they boast that this has a modern UI, full controller support. Like, the controller works, obviously, but it really does feel like a lot of the menus you need a mouse and keyboard. And this doesn't support mouse and keyboard at all.
I honestly thought this was a PC game first, because everything about this feels like it should be a PC game. Oh, okay. Thank God. All right.
Yeah, it was originally PC. Then they brought it to console. Then they remastered it, I believe, for everything. I know it is cheaper on PC, so I'm guessing they put a little extra work into the console version to get the gamepad stuff working and everything. But yeah, the menus aren't the most intuitive. The gameplay is on the janky-ish side. Just exploring, like, I don't know.
I didn't know anything I was doing in this game.
It's easy to like get caught in corners, get caught on tree stumps. It's fun to explore. It's fun beating up enemies. Like
very. I thoroughly enjoy that.
It is a mindlessly fun RPG on the 360, and I think it's a mindlessly fun RPG on current gen. It is very dated. So if you can't handle a game that feels like it's from 2009, I don't think you would enjoy this in the slightest.
If you just want a game where you whack things and you turn your brain off, I think this is a good game for that. You just don't want to use most of the menus that the game has because they're kind of crap. They just don't work right. Like, again, the blacksmithing doesn't work very well. Stores work pretty good. They're usually really good. When you find your player inventory, because you're allowed to have various characters made all at the same time and you can share inventory in between them, that chest is broke. Very broke. It does store things properly, However, you only have access like to the first line of stuff. If you try to put things under it, the game doesn't like when you try to do that. So like if you're trying to stack things vertically instead of horizontally, it hates that. And if you do manage to get something stacked, because it'll scroll all the way straight to the bottom and then right back all the way to the top, and it is a very big area that you're supposed to be able to play stuff. If you get something set somewhere in there at random, it's just going to spawn it all the way at the bottom, and you cannot scroll it anywhere anymore. And now that entire box of player stash that you get to share with all of your allies is useless because you can't access anything in it. Again, this game needs a lot more work. Many of the menus just control-wise are horrific.
Well, we covered the menus. I want to say my biggest issue with this game.
Okay. No tutorial?
360 version is online. Multiplayer.
Yeah. And this still has dredges
this
of that
one
in it.
Does not have online multiplayer. They completely
and the irony it is,
online.
Yeah, the online is gone. You still have gear for online. Because there is a stat called pacifism, and basically that stat existed in order for enemies to do less, or for other players to do less damage to you. Gear that improves that, items that improve that, you can just straight up improve that, all still exist in the game. It is a useless stat because it is only for PvP. And again, the game doesn't tell you any of this.
Yeah. So
the game needs some tutorials, and it needs to fix many of its menus. And then I think I would consider this a try it, but as it is right now,
let's talk price on it. The game is $30 on console, $20 on PC for the remastered version. What are your overall thoughts?
I really like beating people up. That is legitimately fun. I do like exploring the legitimately fun. Everything else about the game is a drag and doesn't work on the console, and I imagine it probably doesn't work on any of the consoles very well. So if you're looking to get this on a console, right now I'd have to say pass, because the menus to increase your gears level, its stats, so on and so forth, all broken. So I don't think right now with where it's at, it's worth buying on a console. On PC, it probably works great because it is clearly made for a PC. Yeah. If they get those menus fixed and you can move around in them properly, which I doubt they're going to do because that's probably a lot of hard work. If they do fix it, then I think it would be a try it. But as it is right now, no, pass unless you're getting it on PC.
I kind of split this two ways. If you're a fan of the original Sacred and you know what you're getting into gameplay wise, I think even at $30, it's a solid try it. Maybe watch a stream beforehand, see what you're getting into. If I drop $30 on this, I don't think I would be too mad. PC at $20, probably a no-brainer. If you're into this kind of game. If you are not into this kind of game, this won't sell you at all. And it's absolutely pass. Aki mentioned that this is not worth picking up on console. I will say that if you have an Xbox Series, you look for Sacred 2 Fallen Angel 360 version on the store, which is $19.99 instead of $29.99. And it has online play. It's not as pretty, but
probably isn't as jank though.
Or you order a physical copy on eBay for $10 Canadian.
Well, if you have a Series S, you can't do that.
Oh, Series, yeah, this is true. Yes.
Yeah, if you have a Series X, grab a disc. Not too expensive.
Yeah, see, again, for me, that I can no longer access the player stash just upset me so much.
Yeah, that's kind of bonkers. But
Yeah, that was after. It takes a while to find that stash too. So I had put like 10 hours into the game at that point. I'm still livid about that. And I haven't played it since. I was like, no, if I can't access this, then none of my characters can get armor out of here. I can't use it as storage space because it is, again, a big area. I was so mad. So mad. This was one of them I was going to cuss at. And then Trash Rando, of course. Trash Rando, why do you do this to me? I hate you people.
You deserve it. Next game, Neon Inferno, developed by Zenovia Interactive, published by Retroware, released November 20th, Xbox One, Series X and S, Switch, PS4, PS5, and PC for $19.99. Neon Inferno is a hybrid side-scroller and gallery shooter where the action takes place in both the foreground and the background. As warring factions battle for control of a dystopian New York City, you enter the fray as an assassin for the family, a notorious crime syndicate determined to eliminate its rivals and dominate the metropolitan battlefield. Rendered in beautiful pixel art and backed by an evocative soundtrack, Neon Inferno delivers a stylish, modern 2D action experience with cyberpunk flair. Pernell and Andy, both of you check this one out. Who wants to start?
I can start.
Thank you. You're my hero. I got a lot of talking to do.
No worries, dude. You can close this out easy. Neon Inferno. We had the interview with these guys, and
We
that
did.
was pretty cool. Was that 2 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago? I can't remember now.
I will look up the episode number.
Well, in the meantime, a lot of what you said. You'll play as two different characters, Angelo Morano or Mariana Vidi. You are assassins for the family. You're pitted up against the NYC and the Yakuza. Basically, like between levels, you'll meet up with the family boss in kind of a cool like jazz nightclub. I really enjoy like the themes and like music choices for this one, and like everything was just like really nice. But you got kind of like a cool cutscene between like depending on which character you have to like your character and then the like mob boss kind of thing. But it's in kind of this like, you know, swanky like jazz nightclub, and he'll give you a target, and you can gain some information about the target, you know, and then you'll go through, you'll outfit yourself with like new weapons, and then head off to whatever level. And so it kind of gives you like there's not like an order, but it kind of gives you a little bit of a choice, like what you want to do next. Your basic outload, you'll have like a gun, you have like kind of a knife. It's almost like a knife, like energy weapon kind of thing to slash or deflect attacks. You can also dodge roll, you can double jump, and those will all come in handy for like, you know, avoiding enemy attacks and then like utilizing like the other areas of the levels too. Throughout the level, so you'll like pop into a level, you'll fight a bunch of enemies, you'll defeat a boss, you know, it's kind of the same, like rinse and repeat, you know, in some fashion, but you're going to be judged based on your performance, and they don't really go over like the parameters for what you're judged on, but you get a different rating. I'm assuming it's like health, the timing of the level, maybe how many like retries you did, because there are difficulty levels as well, and then I thought this was really cool too because there are civilians in the game as well too. So if you like kill too many civilians, like, you know, it like reflects negatively on your score. You are an assassin. You're trying to kill the target, not everybody else. So it'll like keep count of everybody too, which is kind of neat to see. And then at the end of the level, you'll gain money based on your performance, and then you can use that for new weapons and things. The better you do, the more you're paid. But the basic outline of the game, it's a 2D run and gun, you know, action gameplay. What I thought was really cool is kind of how like in the older Contras, like you get the background like enemies that come through, and then you have the spacing based on the level. This one, the whole, like, each level kind of utilizes that spacing too, but it does the background. You have background enemies, and then you also have like foreground enemies, and then enemies that are like within the same plane as you too, which is neat because they also use that with like not only the enemies but also the bosses as well too. And then those enemies also utilize like their own kind of set cover and spacing, like hiding behind objects, you know, or like moving out of the way, or trying to like push you out of the way kind of thing too. But most of the levels are very run and gun action. Lots of like, you know, like you kind of said, it's kind of like a Neo Tokyo vibe, you know, lots of really cool like cyberpunk theme and like flashy colors and lights and stuff like that. There are there's a couple of vehicle levels, which I always welcome in games too. I love vehicle levels. There's a few where you're on a motorcycle, a few where you're on like a jet ski, and those are pretty neat as well too, because you're fighting enemies, you know, like switching lanes and shooting enemies and trying to like avoid, like in the jet ski level, you're trying to avoid like it's almost like a little boat or like a submarine type thing that's coming up and pushing you out of the way. Lots of different enemies though to kind of learn. You got bosses with multiple phases, generally like a regular fight, you know, between you and a boss, and then almost always like a mech battle between you and a boss too, which is really cool to see. And then, as I mentioned earlier too, there's like the two main factions you're kind of going up against, the NYC and Yakuza, and sometimes they'll like fight each other, which is really nice, because there's sometimes a lot of enemies on the screen and they're all firing at you at once, and if you can kind of get them to, you know, pit up against each other, it's definitely used to your advantage. There's a couple, like some hidden stuff that they take you through like a tutorial at the beginning of the game, and then they kind of mention like, hey, maybe there's some like hidden mechanics, you know, that you'll come across. One of them that's not a hidden mechanic is there's like sparkly bullets that you can't avoid, but then there's these green bullets that can be reflected back at enemies. You can also enter this kind of like bullet timing. It's like a slow motion mode, you know, and you can actually redirect the bullets in a different direction. So use them to like hit other enemies. But I figured out you can also enter that kind of like slow-mo timing, bullet timing thing, and then send them like into the background or foreground as well too, which is really neat. Game's got amazing visuals, a very good soundtrack too, different levels of difficulty. It's got arcade mode even, and it's got multiplayer as well too, if you're trying to play this with a friend. Pernell, you're up.
Nice little stealthy segue. It was like, if you want to play with your friend, like this guy.
Yeah, like Pernell, our friend over here.
So he pretty much covered much of the do on this bad boy, but the things I find are most appreciative about it are obviously the soundtrack. If I didn't acknowledge the soundtrack outside of the interview, what kind of person am I even going to be in my next life?
Yeah, speaking of the interview, episode 1091, the episode title being Pernell's Unique Inferno.
And what Inferno? It's neonic.
A very fun hour chat with Gonzalo and who was it? Sri? Yeah, Sri and Gonzalo.
Yeah, that was awesome.
It was a fun conversation for sure. And I'm glad that the conversation was held for a game that ultimately ended up becoming very good, because it's always awkward. They do an interview and the game is like,
this show is actually sometimes not too bad when we have guests on. Weird.
Oh, stop it. It's always good. It's always good. It's always good. Hush fuss.
I don't like that.
So
he's pretty cool.
All that cereal, all that Cocoa Puff. Gotta stop eating Cocoa Puffs and focus on Raisin Bran and what's that? Grape Nuts. Those are the banger cereals. Anyway.
I don't even know what we're talking about anymore.
Me neither.
Grape
Neon
nuts.
Inferno.
But Neon Inferno, like I said, he pretty much Barry Creer's character covered most of the do on this bad boy, all the do really. But like I said, the soundtrack is an absolute banger. One that I can see myself listening to offline for sure. I do believe it's worth mentioning again the genuine joy that comes from the frenetic gunplay related to the foreground and background happening simultaneously, because there will definitely be a number of situations where you're doing what accounts to damn near a ballet dance as you're jumping over a bullet here, deflecting a bullet there, shooting something in the background, looking for the worst target at the time to take out before it becomes a big problem for you in the combat scenario that you're facing yourself with. It's a lot of fun to pick the puzzles apart in these battles. The only real issue I've got, and that's if you can even call it that, is that, so a little bit of a layout to it. Like Barry said, you beat a level, the game will grade you, and then the grade becomes the score that becomes your currency at the shop before going to the next level. And that allows you to buy a weapon. The weapon then can be kind of carried in with you and switch between it and your pistol, though admittedly, once I switched to the special weapon, I've had a hard time getting it off of it, but that's me probably being inept. Anyway, point is, you have this weapon, and once it runs out of bullets, that's it. You got to run through the rest of the level with your regular gun, which means now you're kind of hoarding bullets for your one gun, hoping to use it at the right time. Some might call that strategic. I call that okay, but given the pedigree this game is coming off of, I feel like it'd be nice if they were to implement a mode at some point in the game that lets you maybe either one of two things: maintain the score system and the shopping mechanic, but then let the things you buy in the shop become possible drops in the levels themselves to use. Or
that'd be cool.
Just straight up have items available in levels, because there's something to be said about running through a level, taking dudes out, wham, one of them drops a new gun, and you might have like 20 bullets in it, but those 20 bullets are going to count, and they're fun to use. You can still strategize with that kind of thing too if you want, but I think having that option would add a little bit of variety in the runs through the stages. And I just genuinely like picking up new guns as I run through levels in games. It's just a natural thing. But like I said, that's like the complaint. It's a pretty small one when you really think about it.
Yeah, well then fuck that game.
Oh, yeah, no. Well, maybe.
One issue, deny it.
Deny. Oh, no, this game is absolutely a solid piece. I would recommend this to any fan of traditional running gun games. If you have nostalgia for wild guns, definitely recommend this to you. It hits the right notes.
I was gonna say too. I agree with Pernell as well too. There's something about like purchasing, because like I played this on the easiest mode, so I could kind of like explore things a little bit more too. And I know even with this type of game, like in an arcade mode, like if you were to go to an arcade, like you would have the opportunity to like get health, or pick up like other items, kind of thing. And this one didn't really have that. Like it's got the shop, like Pernell was saying, and then after that, like after you expel the bullets, like or the shield or whatever it is, that's it. So yeah, it's just maybe like a few more pickups or something like that. But
all right, well, let's talk price on this one. It is a $20 game. If you pick it up before the 3rd on Steam, you could save $4 and get it for $16. But for $20, what do you two think of Neon Inferno?
I'd give this easily my second bite of the night. This was a good night for games, I'd say. I have, even with the bit of complaint I had, baby complaint, you'll buy this and you'll love it.
Yeah, I'd get it for sure. It's there's so much like detail into the game and like action going on and like fun gameplay and stuff like that too. Yeah, I definitely get it.
Very good. Soundtrack also available on Steam for $10 if you want to grab that as well. Yeah, Interview $10.91. There you go.
You want to get that too?
You get the bundle as well too for $21.58.
There you go. Some breaking news that Chris might enjoy. We got 4 new games joining Nintendo Switch Online. Did you see them?
Yeah, I actually already updated my my system. We finally got Battletoads.
Indeed.
Got Battletoads Ninja Gaiden 2, which is my favorite Ninja Gaiden.
Now that I like.
Yeah, I actually beat that one when I was a kid. It took many tries.
I got a feeling the funny thing is, I've heard this from people, I feel like Ninja Gaiden 2 was like the one that people were able to beat. Like, they're all hard games, but 2 was like the one because those shadow clones.
Yeah, I think that's right. That's definitely how I did it. But I mean, you know, it basically the fact that the Switch's NSO has like the one cure for what made Ninja Gaiden 2 so unassailable, and that's the save states, because you don't have to get back, you know, sent back to multiple stages back if you die at the, you know, at the right time.
That freaking final boss, that was like the worst damn gameplay game design choice I've ever heard of in my life.
Two Game Boy games, I mean, with Bionic Commando and Kid Icarus of Myths and Monsters.
Yeah, I haven't played either of those, but I own them.
Oh, Myths and Monsters was great. That
Kid
was
Icarus
pretty much
was one of the first games I bought for myself as a child.
Well, that's cool. I didn't play it until I was in my early 20s, I think, and I really liked it. I've beaten it many times. But the second one, I started it a couple of times on Game Boy and never really got. It's very different, so I never really got that far. But hey, this is another excuse to do so.
And in my case, thank you, Kool-Aid Man.
But yeah, it's crazy. It's like 4 games that were originally released, or, you know, in their original run, they were released in the US, and they're all good. Like, that's not they're breaking a streak there.
Yeah, good stuff.
It's like they were releasing good stuff, but it was usually like Japan only like stuff, and they didn't bother to translate it or anything like that. So, you know, of course, nothing will beat the inclusion of Chibi Robo. I think that was the coolest move ever. But I appreciate that kids can play. I actually have a friend who has a kid who's about to introduce her to Battletoads, and we'll see what she thinks.
Nice.
And old games are old games. Nah, I think it starts very fun.
It ends very hard.
Yeah, it gets to a point.
And hell, I tried beating that in rare replay with like rewind and everything, and I couldn't do it.
And the other thing about it is that, like, I always thought it was fun to replay the Turbo Tunnel. Like, I got good at it. I can beat it. I can beat
sadistic. It. Next game to talk about. Yeah, we're not talking Turbo Tunnel. That's evil. Turbo Tunnel's evil. But
it's
gotta move on. Next game is A.I.L.A, developed by Pulsatrix Studios, published by Fireshine Games and the Iterative Collective, released November 25th on Series X and S, PS5, and PC for $29.99. A.I.L.A is a first-person horror game set in a near future filled with immersive technology. Plays the sole game tester for a revolutionary new fictional AI. Survive intense horror experiences that prey on your deepest fears. The lines cross between virtual reality blur. Aki, tell us your time with A.I.L.A or A.I.L.A.
Okay, so in this, you start off chained up in a place, and now you're trying to escape from some crazy person with a pickaxe and a bit of an issue with you, apparently. And then you get stabbed in the chest. Well, that's one way to start a game, I guess. Shit. And then it pulls away, and oh, you were playing a game. Okay, that's all right. That makes a little more sense. And you get up to go get a package that has been delivered by drone, because this is the far future of who fucking knows when. And it's a brand new console from this company that makes you sign an insane NDA. And you start playing it. It's just a basic VR game. It's nice. It has an AI that slowly learns from what you're doing and makes a better game that's tailored more and more for you. But for that, it needs to learn, and that is what it's here to do. They want to, iron out all the kinks to it. Sadly, none of the good kinks. Before they ship it off to everybody. Woohoo!
None of the good kinks.
Yeah. And you start off, it ends up being very much kind of a walking sim at first. You can pick up a weapon if you want, or you can avoid it. And occasionally this big bad with a pickaxe will show up, except for now it's an axe, and he's a big bitch, and he don't like you, so you need to figure out how to get out of this place. You find a remote, you interact with a TV, and you get to switch the world, more or less, to different states, as long as you can get to a TV. And in each of these states, the rooms will change a little. Maybe this hallway is completely flooded in one of the states, but is empty in the rest of them. Maybe you can find that this door is unlocked in one of them, and you can get into that room and look around, find some stuff to help you drain the hallway permanently, so that in that other room where there is a bunch of water, it gets drained in there too. It all gets timey-wimey, fucky-wuckied, and it's really good. And you find in between your play sessions, A.I.L.A keeps digging a little more and more into your personal life and into your smart home, because nothing sounds safer than an experimental AI that's whole existence is to terrify you, getting into controlling the entirety of your home. That sounds like a good idea. And you slowly see as A.I.L.A really takes a shine to her job, and very quickly starts to not understand the difference between what's in the game and what sure shit ain't. As you slowly but surely get screwed with by her in the game, because turns out there's also a serial killer out and about right now, and you've been researching it for who fucking knows why. And she keeps adding stuff from your home, from stuff in your past, stuff like that, into the game in order to more personalize it to you. So, she starts giving you panic attacks because she's nice or something. And you just slowly get this PTSD from your character is getting that from this little AI program, as she slowly starts to screw with you, not just in the video game world, but in the real world too, all while trying just to be this happy, nice thing that isn't really meaning bad. And it's very weird. Like in the very first level area, it's very short. It's like first 10 minutes of the game, if that. You'll go through the very first area, get A.I.L.A, get in there and play the first little level before she's like, okay, it's time for bed, we'll pick up tomorrow. The very first area, you have to hack your way out of the game, basically, and then you die.
Yay.
Yeah. And then you restart in the area, and she's like, okay, yeah, let's try something new this time. And eventually you get an axe. You're led into a room where some mysterious shitbag is on a computer, and they're a bad guy. Better lop their head off. Wait, what? That seems familiar.
So basically, this is like a mixture of a bunch of different horror games linked together by real world freakiness.
Yeah, basically.
Gotcha.
The game is being built around your character with real life stuff being brought into the game because she wants to personalize it to terrify you. To make to make piss run down your pant legs. So, yeah. And exactly. It didn't get quite that far for me, but it does have a nice creepy
Maybe
atmosphere.
if there were spiders in it.
No, then.
By the way, did you see that game I linked you with the spider?
Fuck you. That should tell you all you need to know.
Indeed. Well, let's talk about this one. Any other final thoughts, or should we dive into price?
Let's go ahead and dive into price.
It is a $29.99 game, available on PC, Series, and PS5, at least on Steam and Series. If you buy it in the next 2 weeks, you could save 20% and get it for $24.99. I'd imagine it's on PlayStation as well, but I haven't pulled up the page, and I'm too lazy to do it right now. So maybe not. Either way, $30. What is your verdict on A.I.L.A?
I'm very for this because the game is taking stuff from the character's real life, and the choices that you, the player, make in the game also affects it. I really like this. It's a really fun, kick-ass little game. I thoroughly enjoyed my time with it.
Very good. Next up, Million Depth, developed by Cyberspace Biotope. Interesting name. Published by PLAYISM. Released November 12th on Steam for $16.99. Moma sets off on a journey in search of her friend, who she believes is in the million floors deep underground world of Million Depth. Oh god, that's a long trip down. However, what awaits is a constantly changing world. The true story behind Million Depth differs between timelines. Moma's fate, too, changes with the world around her. Moma's past decisions have consequences that ripple into the future and even other timelines in unimaginable ways. You have to piece together fragmented clues from her journey to solve the many mysteries she comes across. Pernell, what is going on in Million Depth?
Well, Million Depth is basically what comes out to be what feels like a roguelike on the surface, but with a bit more depth when you come and bring into play the narrative that spans across variations of timelines. But the best way to describe this game is to say that, yes, you are Moma. You are going down, down, down. And that progress is the general primary loop of the game, regardless of what narratives you unlock, no matter what you deal with regarding time, ultimately you are going down. And that is pretty much the main gist of the gameplay, because what will happen is you'll start at the top level. You will have a map that will let you say, okay, here's the entirety of the cylinder that goes down underground. And at various levels, there are events that you can engage with. Each drop, you'll get to choose between whether going down straight down, slightly to the left, or slightly to the right. And you'll get a preview of the events that exist in those areas going down. Using that combined with the actual map will give you an idea of where you want to go. And then you will make a choice and you will descend. Once you have landed, you will walk about and you may have a number of different events that can occur. Generally, you might come across an NPC. NPCs are what you'd expect them to be. People that might provide exposition on the narrative and what's going on. New characters to meet and give you some, hopefully, people to potentially root for, or just people to wave to and get the hell out of Dodge. You might find some shopkeepers. I'll talk about that a little bit in a second. But for the most part, what you will likely come across is a skirmish. And this game, it has a interesting and unique approach to how combat works. And it may be the thing that either makes people want this game or not want this game. You see, there's no melee button and there's no series of combos or whatever. Instead, you are just Moma, who can walk left and right. And if she walks into an enemy, sometimes she can kick them. But there are two things that are in effect that makes this special beyond what you just heard about. Oh boy, a girl that can kick things. And that is her tool, the Biojammer. Okay, there's only one thing, but that one thing produces two results. That's the Biojammer. What this device allows the game to do, or for Moma to do, is prevent any sort of action or movement from her opponents or her opponent's projectiles, unless she herself is also moving. If she triggers a motion, whether from herself or the Biojammer, which, by the way, is a completely separate object isolated away from her, or separated from her. But if either of those things move, then the enemies and their projectiles will move. They stop, you stop, they stop. The second thing is how the primary means of attack is meant to occur. Because like I said earlier, yes, Moma can kick things, but she's a little girl or teenager or adult. I don't know how old this person is. She's been in space for who knows how long. But basically, she can kick them and do little damage. But her biojammer is an actual physical construct that can be manipulated with the right thumbstick, and when it collides with an enemy, it will do damage to them. Where you collide with the enemy with on it determines the sort of damage that will be done. What do I mean by that? Well, you, the player, construct the biojammer. You can take objects you can find on your adventure in the form of blocks of various strengths and weaknesses, pointed objects, explosive objects, etc. And you go to a crafting bench and you are allowed to slot them onto this thing in such a way that they will produce variations on attack power and defense power. You see, depending on how you connect these blocks, they come in the form of blocks, to the biojammer will determine what sorts of, objects will manifest on it. For example, something real simple. You might say take, 4 gray blocks, that's the weakest form of block, align them with 4 silver blocks, and you get a blade tip. Blade tip, now, if you run into an enemy with that side, the blade is side out, you'll do an X number of damage compared to the blunt side, and in addition, the weapon will sometimes swing, doing damage in an arc when you're moving it towards enemies. It's pretty interesting. It starts out being a bit of a headache, because you're like, what the hell am I doing with these freaking cubes? Also, doubly so if you play on Steam Deck like me, sometimes it takes a little while to get used to the control scheme of using it, but it is doable. But over time, once you've gotten accustomed to it, constructing this thing is actually pretty fun, especially because of how the roguelike element kicks in, where the further down you go before you die and give up, the more of a resource you get to unlock more blueprints, which will give you more information on things you can construct and just variations on your experience. So you'll basically be making better and better things as you go. And based on variation of various elements in the narrative, you might come up with a bit more than just a thing. You might come up with some more biojammers or types of biojammers. I'm making some false statements and true statements in there. You figure out which one, but the point is things change and they're good. The other part about that block is that it will determine how you decide you want to play the game. Because, for example, one of the best ways to do damage in this game is with the ricochet effect. If your block collides with an enemy, it does the damage, then it kind of rebounds off of it a bit. If you're able to position the biojammer between 2 enemies, it will ping pong back and forth between them without your involvement, which is a good thing, doing more and more damage. If you can pull that off, you're a gem. But if you can't pull it off, no harm, no foul. Just keep playing the game. It's still fun. Some of the NPCs I brought up earlier are shopkeepers. In this game, there's no money. So you can't save up money and then go buy all the cool stuff, the new artifacts, blah, blah, blah. Instead, you have to barter with them. You have to choose objects based on the value that the merchant has deemed them, and then choose an object from the merchant store that's equivalent to what you just gave them. I don't know if you can cheat the merchant. I don't know. I've never tried. Why? Because there's an actual meter that determines how happy or unhappy the merchant is. And I didn't want to take a risk at making the merchant unhappy because I'm not a dick like that. So instead, I generally made deals that made the merchant happy. Maybe I gave them $350 worth of items and they gave me $340 worth of items. Now, just a little bit of a taste of generosity from Stranger in the Underground. So, music I could take or leave is relaxing, but it's not you're going to bop your head to. But it is fitting for the game. The graphics might be an off-put for some people, but I personally thought they were pretty nice. They're different from what I'm used to, and that's not a bad thing. I don't really know if I have a genuine complaint about the game. It's a weird game. It's very much, aside from the general roguishness, the attack system, for example, is a lot like... I can't think of too many games I've played that involve something like that, moving the isolated object and the bouncing between things, and the constructing the device to get the most out of it for that purpose. But again, once I gave it a chance and kind of looked past like just the oddness of it, I came away feeling that this was a battle system that I've come to enjoy. And I like getting better and better parts, making bigger and bigger objects, and smashing more and more things with the creations that are at my disposal once I produce them. I think this game is fun. I think it is another banger out of the House of PLAYISM, and is one that I don't want to give it a buy-in in this context because I feel like someone's going to hear me say this and go, well, you told me it was a masterpiece. Like, I ain't freaking say that. Get words out my mouth. I said it's very different, and I think that people can appreciate it. We'll get something out of it. But because of that, what is your take? Do you think it would be a try it under that circumstance or just give it the bite? Because I personally think the game is a lot of fun. Even
You're
if it might be a little bit weird.
It is up to you. Like, how do you feel about this one? I mean, the way you talk about it, you say it's very unique, so
it is. So
That's
you know
Rocky.
what? The hell, McGilly. You give me your jam. Give me the spiel. The spiel for the $9.99.
Well, I for one think it's great.
There we go. I like that spiel too. But you know, the one that leads into the verdict.
Well, it is $16.99 available on Steam. What are your thoughts on it?
I'm gonna give it a buy. Screw it. I like it. I like what I mentioned about it. I also appreciate it for being different and trying some new things. I described why I like it, and it's up for everyone else to understand whether or not they like the things I said. But I'm giving it a buy. It's a great game.
Would give it a buy it. No.
Damn right I would. I'm unique like that.
Unique. Next up, R-Type Delta HD Boosted, developed by City Connection and Take Off, published and provided to us by Clear River Games. Released November 20th, Series X and S, Switch, PS4, PS5, PC, $24.99. R-Type Delta is one of the finest shoot-'em-ups ever and took the gaming world by storm upon its release way back in 1998. I was still in 11th grade. Now, 27 years later, history repeats itself with R-Type Delta HD Boosted. With its tight-level design, 3 selectable ships, powerful Delta weapons, and the brilliant force mechanic, this new edition proves that gaming classics of this caliber are truly timeless. If you played R-Type Delta back in the day, this is the perfect opportunity to return to its dark science fiction action, and if you've never experienced it before, now's the time. Chris, how is R-Type Delta HD Boosted?
Yeah, it's pretty good. I guess you could say it's the best game of all time. I don't know.
All right, verdict. No.
Yeah. All right, yeah. I know, it was my first time back in like a month, and I'm like, yeah, that's pretty good. Anyway, buy it. Okay, so yes. R-Type Delta. So this isn't actually, its original release was a little bit lost on me, because I did not pick it up when it was like a new thing, and now it's, as a PS1 game, it's an expensive prospect. I think a loose disc costs like over $100. So yeah, yeah. But you know, it's got a little bit of a story to it. Basically, like, you know, IREM had a little bit of a existential crisis in the late 90s, and they were like, should we even bother making R-Type games? Nobody wants an R-Type game. They're like, well, why don't we release the first 2 R-Type games and literally just call it R-Types and see if that does anything. And then if it does, then we'll make this. And so R-Types came out in March of 1999 and actually did really well. And so this game came out in August of 1999. Those are the US dates. The Japan dates are just, you know, sometime in 1998. So this is like, you know, it was the year of the R-Type for sure. Because yeah, it was a completely original game versus the other, which was just a re-release of the 2 arcade games, which we've seen on the Switch as well. In R-Type Dimensions, I think it was called. I reviewed those too. I just don't remember what they were called.
Damn, yeah, this was for like 160, 200 complete. Damn.
Yeah, even the Japanese version is like pretty expensive. It's very good though, and we'll get to that. So yeah, go ahead.
Do you like look up all the games you play, or is this just random knowledge that you just have? Because every time you're on here, you give us so much history stuff. Is that just stuff you just randomly just know because you've just looked up all this stuff a long time ago and you just retained it? Or do you look this stuff up for the review?
It's a little of both. So, you know, I do know the R-Type series, but it's not my favorite shooter series. Darius is. and I can rattle off facts about Darius all day. For this review, I did look up those dates because I knew R-Types had come out, and I knew that R-Type Delta had come out in the same year. But and I knew why, but I was just like, it was R-Types first, right? And then R-Type Delta. Yeah, that makes sense, And then I researched to kind of answer my own question. So I verified.
I was looking up to see what physical options there were, and there was a pre-order on Limited Run that ended a week and a half ago. Can't you extend these into release a little bit so that we could actually promote them?
Yeah, I know.
I see a Japanese ridiculous PS5 disc on eBay for $50.
Oh boy. Aki, you were about to say something else?
Yeah, I just was always wondering that, because you always come in and you just rattle off so many facts, and I was just like, what the fuck? How does he know any of this shit? Okay, all right.
It's with Gunpla and Dave K with wrestling. Some people just know a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I don't have much else
because of tisms. But
maybe I got it too. I don't know. I can't afford a doctor. I don't know what I got in there.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So maybe that is it. But I mean, just for me, video games and their releases and this, there's always a story behind them. And just as a person who's naturally attracted to the history of things and the why and the wheres and the hows and stuff, it's if I'm interested enough in the game itself, then all that other stuff is kind of icing for me. It's to get to know the story of things, and I like stories, and so that's why I started this one off with a story. But yeah, I mean, maybe it's a lot for some people, but I do retain a lot of what I learned about video games and nothing else. So
you know what? Fair. I remember every movie and book I've ever consumed. I understand. Yep. Fair enough.
Yeah. And that definitely not same unless it's Godzilla. You get me on Godzilla, I'll start talking about movies and books and everything.
So is Godzilla an R-Type Delta HD boost?
Sadly, no, but it does have giant monsters. Let's get back into this. So yeah, R-Type Delta is the first foray of the R-Type series into 3D, and it kind of came off the heels of Taito was really kind of, I think, the vanguard on this one, because they came out with Raystorm was, if you remember that one, was a big hit on PS1 as a vertical shooter, and almost a diagonal shooter, really, because it was had such a weird perspective, but what A.I.L.A was going for, but actually did it because it had 3D. And then, of course, Taito also had released G Darius in the arcades and PS1, just before this. So, everybody was kind of catching on to the fever. And according to this is research. According to an article, an interview with IREM that I couldn't translate into English because it was a PDF that nothing could catch the text because it was too small, so I couldn't translate it. So I'm taking Wikipedia's word on it that they were directly inspired by Taito and their Ray Crisis release. Not Ray Crisis, I'm sorry, Ray Storm. I apologize. No, I'm just kidding. Ray Crisis was in the mix too. That's the one I own. That's why I said that. So they were inspired to come out with a 3D game. They had some struggles with it, and but ultimately I think they came out with what for my money, actually is the most fun of the R-Types, although it is a little bit of a bastard. That's not changed in this HD boosted version, though. There are some other QOLs, but what we get in this version is basically a super sharp, cleaned up version of the exact game, all the way down to the new menus looking like the old menus, which is really cool. I always love it when they do stuff like that. So you register your pilot, which is basically your save spot, which means that it's going to kind of that's where your track record, your war record, I'm sorry, that's what they call it, is held. And that's actually important to unlocking stuff, is having a war record. And so, like, you get to have different save spots, which is very nice because, you know, if you want to start the game fresh without the unlockables and without the records and stuff, then you can do so. They've also now added a practice where if you have beaten a stage prior, you can go back and practice it to, like, learn it, like, really well. It also, it has difficulty options, which... nothing will ever beat Psycho shooters, which has, you know, the scale of like 1 to 5, or it's like 1 to 8 or something like that on difficulty. Like it's a large number, but each number has a name, and the number 2 is children, number 2 difficulty, but number 1 difficulty is monkey. So, you know, nothing will ever beat that. But this game does have difficulty. The default is human, and if you make it easier, it goes to kids. So you can be human or kids. And then the hard difficulty is Bido, which I imagine is something that's in the lore of the game. I don't know the lore of R-Type as much as I do other games. But yeah, you know, it just has like a bunch of options. Not a whole lot of options though. Like it does not have like a cheat menu. It doesn't have like, you know, save states. It doesn't have anything like that. But you know, in the practice option, you can make your ship invincible. So again, you can learn the stages without having to bother with dying. And another thing to know is that this is the kind of shooter, as R-Type always has been, where you don't just if you like die, you don't just continue from where you left off unto a game over or something. Like every single time you die, you go back to a checkpoint. It's Gradius rules, which may be the reason I've never been as into R-Type as I have others. But well, I mean, Darius has even done that. So, anyways, yeah. So you start off with an amount of continues, but the secret that us R-Type heads or people with access to GameFAQs know about is that the game will actually pile on continues as you continue to play the game and rack up time in the game. So after a few hours, you're eventually going to end up with infinite continues. So that's really nice. My favorite shooter does that too, Castle Shikigami 2 on the PlayStation 2. You also can actually unlock... There's there's 3 ships, and we will talk about them, but the 4th ship is actually a secret unlockable that you can get by beating the game. Or just start a new game over 100 times. Jeez. And it'll eventually... Yeah. So if you really suck at this game, like... Yeah, but you spend a bunch of time like starting new games or like, you know, just being in the game for a number of hours, then they just give you all this stuff. Like they're like, come on, win. I love that. That's such an uncharacteristic mercy as well for the R-Type series. A series I consider to be on the harder end of like, you know, good old shmuppy shmups. Did I even mention this game's a shmup? It is. If you want to know more about shmups, don't look up Beaker Reloaded because it's not there anymore. But
it's on Steam.
Anyway. Oh, yeah. It is on the computers. Well, people on the computers know what shmups are, and people on Switch don't. They're like, what are these thousands of games there with spaceships, and why can't I play them? So yeah, besides being 3D, the other big difference with R-Type Delta is that for the first time, it introduces more ships. So, like, you know, you got your standard R9, which is that's the typical, you know, got the blue tube in the front and, like, you know, the big attachment that, like, you know, you can fling it across and it, like, shoots by itself and you can reattach it to either the front or the back of the ship and it'll shoot to the front or back. That's a classic R-Type move, so that ship is there. But now we have the R13, which is the anchor type. It also has its force device, is what they call the attachment. What it does is it creates a chain of lasers between it and your ship. So if you catch enemies up in those lasers, it does a whole bunch of damage. So it's kind of like it's a pretty cool ship for, like, you know, learning maneuvers and things like that. And it's also pretty tanky and has a nice high-powered like laser, so it's actually pretty good. And then we have one that's a little bit more of a glass cannon, but I actually really like it, the RX, which is the force device is called Tentacle Type. And that's a SML After Dark thing, I think. No, for real, the force device, what it does is it pops out to like robot tentacles, and they they eviscerate as well as I don't know, emasculate. But either way, it's basically got a whole lot more firepower than the other two ships. But it's a little trickier to kind of get to use the full force of it, which, by the way, the full force of the ships is a new thing. That is to say, they can now, through attacking enemies and raising this gauge, you can set yourself up with a much higher powered attack. That's also something that you can kind of pay attention to. You can get through the game just fine without it, but it is a thing that's really helpful for taking down enemy groups in a pinch, and also do some extra damage to bosses. The game does not have conventional bombs, so that's basically kind of like your out, is to power up that gauge. But yeah, it's like I said, apart from that, you're going through a whole bunch of stages with that are fully 3D, so it's not like texture backgrounds or anything like that. So the cleanup on this game is really immaculate. That is to say, all the backgrounds look sharp and crispy, and I really love I love the look of HD upscale, PS1 graphics done proper HD without actually adding a whole bunch of more details to them. Keep the old details but clean it up really well. That's my favorite aesthetic in terms of these kind of re-releases. So this game really nails that. And like I said, yeah, it's all throughout the background and everything like that. And you really see it in, like I said, the enemy ships, because in this particular game, and characteristic of the R-Type series, you're fighting other ships and stuff, sure, but most of the time you're going to end up fighting big screen-sized monsters that are either ships or sometimes they're more organic. In this game, they're usually ships. Can you hear me? Oh, okay. I heard this weird zip, and it sounded like
yeah, I'm
broke.
fucking with stuff over here. Sorry.
Okay, I thought the film broke. Anyway, yeah, you fight big old screen-sized monsters on the regular, and you even fight robotic fish. So maybe that's kind of a nod to the Darius series as well. Who can know? But yeah, I was pretty impressed with this HD remake, and I think that you have a question for me now.
Yeah, it costs $25. Should we get it?
Absolutely. I mean, it's 1/4 the cost of a loose disc of the original. And yeah, this is... I really was impressed by the R-Type Dimensions games and such as a throwback, but this one is I think a little bit more legitimately kind of badass and fun. This, I think, is the R-Type you've been looking for, if you are looking for an R-Type. Certainly not the Super Nintendo one that we all grew up on. That one, I think, gave the series a bad name, honestly. But yeah, no, definitely go buy this. It's good.
Very good. All right, next up, GIGASWORD, developed by Studio Hybrid, published by Akupara Games, released November 13th. Xbox One, Series X and S, Switch, PS4, PS5, and PC for $14.99. Balance the weight of the GIGASWORD, battling between brain and brawn in this action puzzle Metroidvania, Pernell's favorite word, where the might of the sword will determine all. As tensions rise in Theon Heart, city plagued by famine and disease, the humans within set their hopes on a final solution. Invade the ancient tower Nestrium, slay the Nocturne, and take the god crystal Gnosis for themselves. Pernell, Andy, Horror Acolyte, all three, you played this one. I don't know, someone start.
Horror, up to you. Go.
I'm kind of just an extra on this one, so you guys take it away.
Andy, Pernell, one of you.
All right, I can go with this one then. So, in the case of Andy was nope, for now.
I can do it. I didn't know if you wanted to go first. I did the last one, but I got a ton written up for this one, so Yeah,
Aki, tell us about GIGASWORD.
Get him, Aki. No, if anything, I gotta learn from Andy on this. I gotta start writing this stuff down. But
Yeah.
this game, GIGASWORD, is actually, though he's right, I hate the term Metroidvania. This is an interesting take on the game because of the puzzle aspect of it, but I'll get into that. You play as a young man who's lived on the streets for a good chunk of his life in a world where people are already struggling. He has to struggle just a little bit more. But he befriends an interesting bird person from that tower that Joe mentioned in the description, who looks out for him as a friend for years until crazy crap starts happening. Humans do dumb stuff, and it is pretty much determined that he may quite possibly be the fated one. And he has bestowed his friend's massive or Giga sword and is taken to ascend the tower in a fit of revenge plus destiny. And what I appreciate most about this game is how that sword is used in conjunction with the player character. What do I mean by that? Well, let's see. Main character, by the default start of the game, has a few general moves. He can run, he can jump, and climb ladders. Pretty good. But once he gets that big, beautiful sword in his hands, well, things start to change a little bit. You see, for example, while he's holding the sword, he can still dodge, which I should have mentioned. He can also dodge, by the way. Dodge roll. He can still dodge roll, but his dodge roll is shortened. He can still jump, but his jump height is lessened. And when he swings the sword, he actually, in both the animation and the speed of the swing, seem to capture the heft of this thing because he has no business carrying this sword. And yet he's doing it anyway because he's a beast like that. It's funny because if he jumps in the air and swings the blade down, it's not a traditional, typical sword swing like this genre is known for, where you just swing the sword, maybe do 3 or 4 swings in the air and come down. In this game, you swing it one time, and he drops to the ground because the sword is just that heavy. You might ask yourself, well, realistically, Pernell, would he be able to get that level of a height in a swing if he's going to just drop that way? I respond by saying, shut up. The game's still fun, and I like it. As you progress into this tower, you'll be fighting a variety of monsters who are going to get in your way, and the game asks you to make use of this sword, sometimes in clever ways, sometimes just straight up get lunky ways to take them out. You might want to dive bomb onto the head of a monster who is otherwise shielded on his 2 sides, for example, to take things out. Or sometimes you might need to roll behind an enemy and stab him like you would in a lot of other games of this type. But the important part is the game makes you take advantage of that. Sometimes you might have to leave the sword behind by using the Y button to stab it, thrust it into the ground, and use the time while you got it to move about, potentially to pull a lever or push a block or whatever to solve a puzzle. The game does a very good job of having puzzles that require to leave the sword in certain places to manipulate the environment to be able to come back and move the sword along with you. Other times, the game does a great job of integrating the sword into the environment. For example, sometimes you can't push an object without using the sword. By thrusting the sword inside, you give yourself a way to pull on the block because the hilt is lodged inside the sword. You might be asking yourself, well, if that's the case, how is he able to pull the sword back out if he's pulling the block while holding the sword inside of it? My answer to that is also, shut up. The game is fun. Also, I can be real pedantic sometimes, so I think about crap like that all the damn time. But I enjoy these puzzles very much. And as you're exploring the levels, you'll also come across items in the form of currency objects you can get from enemies dying. You'll come across objects such as feathers that can be hidden in the environment. And when you go to the general save points in the map, you can spend those currencies to upgrade your character. So, yes, you will occasionally come across abilities on your exploration path, but you will want to do a good job chopping up foes as best as possible and finding those feathers because a good chunk of your upgrades will be coming specifically from those things. Combat and boss fights are both fun. I enjoy the puzzles in this game. I enjoy the music in this game and the graphics in this game too, to be quite frank with you. I don't have a lot I can think of saying that's going to make me say, oh, this also stands out beyond for this reason, because I think the thing that stands out is the sword play control, the character control in reference to the sword play and the way the sword is integrated to solving puzzles. But I'll stop rambling for a bit and see what others have to say.
Andy, jump in.
Yeah, I can take over, dude. Yeah, so I mean, a couple of things I'll kind of touch on too, because that was kind of covers everything. But there is a pretty like rich backstory and like just in general story behind the game as well too that I felt like they did a really good job on. And it does involve like the two, kind of like different races, the humans and then these like owl-like creatures known as the Nocturne. And so the humans like don't really know anything about the Nocturne, and the Nocturne are kind of like the keepers of that crystal that you were talking about earlier, the Gnosis or Gnosis, and do live in that tower, the Nestrium. But the humans believe that crystal is going to grant them prosperity, and that the Nocturne are just kind of like holding onto it and like keeping it for themselves. And so in typical fashion, humans get jealous, they go invade the tower, and then that's actually what where all the monsters come from, is the humans that enter the tower become the monsters. Some of the bigger, I guess, higher up, like the captains and things like that of the city's army, become like big bosses and things like that. And so you get a nice mix between monsters and huge boss battles in this game as well too. And there's kind of like a good story and like back history like behind like where they came from and everything as well. There's a lot of collectibles. There's like journal entries as well too that kind of push forward the story a little bit more. And then there's actually like a few like cutscenes that they do like at the beginning of the game, and then somewhere like along the way as well, where they go even deeper and tell you more about this crystal and where it came from and everything. Which at first I was kind of like, for a game like this, I was a little surprised that they would go so in depth, but I actually really enjoyed knowing where like the power came from, behind all this, and some more of the like history behind a lot of it. I don't know, it really like filled everything out, instead of you entering like, oh, you're in a tower now and you got to fight all these monsters, like good luck, buddy, you're the chosen one. And so I really enjoyed that. But also to touch on a couple little things too that Pernell had mentioned, you're dragging around a giant sword, and so they did a really fantastic job of making it feel like you are in fact dragging around a giant sword, because you can drop it, move around the levels, and that is required a lot of times to navigate some puzzles and some other things as well. But when you have it, like Pernell said, you go to swing and it's a heavy swing. You go to jump, it's a heavy jump. You attack an enemy, and there's a lot of like timing mechanics to this as well too, because you might drop a weapon and then you're like waiting to pull the weapon back away, and you're getting attacked, as you're like trying to pull it out of the ground, or whatever it is, because it is so massive, it is so heavy. I mean, it's the size of the character too. But there is a lot of puzzles, there's a lot of enemies, there's large boss battles that I found were actually pretty fun. You can get new abilities, which is really neat too. You can like upgrade the sword, so you can do like a slam attack and it sends out like a shockwave, or you can like throw fireballs, or anything like that. Or I got like the healing, or there's like even improved healing as well too. There's lots of hidden walls, in the game. It's kind of got like I don't want to use like Souls-like, but it's kind of got that like Souls-like mechanic too, where you're like collecting these little gems once you defeat an enemy. And then if you die, like going back to like collect your gems, it like holds on to it's almost like the souls, holds on to your souls. But if you die on the way back there, then you lose all those gems. So there's a lot of kind of frustrating defeats in the game as well too, that you'll either get past or just learn to deal with. Lots of different puzzles. Each kind of area has obviously like very similar puzzles, I would say, but I felt like the game did a really good job excuse me, of kind of having like almost a main puzzle, I would say, in each zone. So, like for example, one zone, it's a lot of like puzzles built around finding these like kind of fruits, and you're trying to drop them into like a plant, and it creates a platform for you or whatever it is. And the whole zone has a giant one of these fruits, and so you have to figure out, how do I unlock this area so I can cut this side, and then get to the other side so I can cut this, and so I can like kind of solve like the bigger puzzle like within the zone, Or for another example, this other area had platforms, that came up, and you had to unlock each color of the platform before you could like progress as well too. So it's got those same puzzles throughout everything, but like very, not to say the word that we all know what I'm gonna say here, unique puzzles to its own self too. There's a lot of cool stuff. Hidden rooms, collectibles. I think I brought that up too. I wish the game had like some kind of marking system, because it does have a map. It does keep track of things that you've gained and like areas you've been, which is really nice. It even goes as far as to kind of show you like, hey, there's this colored door, and this door is only accessible from like the other side, or it's this or that, or this is a sword door, which allows you to like get through just with your sword. But there were areas, there's so much run back in Metroidvanias, and I would say, especially in this one, there's a lot of run backs to areas if you want to go for the 100%, completion, just to collect things and everything like that. Then I was finding myself like going back to an area that I didn't need to go back because I didn't have the item that I needed for that area yet. So that was a little bit of frustrating, But for me, overall, it kind of felt very, I would say, Castlevania. I'm a big fan of Zelda 2. I know not a lot of people like that game, but I love it. So I kind of got some of those vibes like from the game as well, too. But yeah, I thought it was cool. Horror, you want to talk about it?
Sure. Yeah. So... oh, sorry. One second. Someone's making... Sorry about that.
No worries.
So one thing to start with, this game was actually developed by a single developer, everything in the game, even including the music. So that alone, I was really impressed by. Everything was pieced together really well. And even though that's the case, I was still kind of finding myself feeling like this is kind of like middle of the road genre-wise for Metroidvanias. Like, it, for a game that utilizes its mechanic so well, it didn't really set itself apart, at least for me, compared to like other games in the genre. So as kind of Chris, or not Chris, sorry, as Andy and Pernell were saying, the mechanic where the heavy sword is kind of integrated into the combat and the puzzle system is done in such a way that it's pretty much, he did everything he could with it inside of the game, at least to my knowledge. But yeah, I found that it just wasn't enough to kind of like make it stand out to compare to like other games in the genre, at least in my opinion. But there was a lot of good puzzle variety, especially near the end of the game. The puzzles kind of amped up in difficulty a bit. I thought those ones were a lot more engaging than the ones kind of found in the early to mid section of the game. As cool as the boss battles were, visually speaking, I did find the ones kind of closer to the end to be like too easy, especially if you'd gotten a bunch of the upgrades throughout the course of the game and like the health upgrades. Like, I was just face kind of tanking damage and just like, okay, you can hit me, but I'll just like keep dealing damage to you now, and I'm gonna like pretty much outrace you here. So yeah, I got a little too easy. I would say the hardest part of the game, in my opinion, would probably be like some of the, progressing through a couple of the areas, and then there's a few puzzles maybe that people might find difficult. But if you played any type of puzzle games before, or like have done similar puzzle types in the past, you probably won't have too much of an issue with any of them, I would say. But yeah, like I was saying though, for a solo dev project, he did a fantastic job overall. But definitely put a lot of hours into making this game. I did run into like a couple issues. If you're someone that cares about going for like the 100% completion, I'm almost positive I ran into an issue where my map got like 99% complete, so there's no way to like 100% the map.
Oh no!
On the PlayStation. Yeah, I spent like 4 hours one day trying to like 100% one section. And I got to 99, and like I'm pretty sure my map is fully complete, but it doesn't register as such. And I was like, oh, that's great. I could be wrong, but it looks like it's done. So
you missed a hidden wall probably somewhere, dude.
It looks like I got all the items for that area. So I there's not many hidden items in the game. Like you have your feather collectibles, your scrolls, and then there's usually like a rabbit you can find to give you a health boon. And then other than that, that's pretty much all the like secrets in the game to find. And I've got all that for that section. And all my maps filled out. So I don't know what's missing there, but
the only thing missing here is a verdict. So for $15, what do the three of you think?
Buy it. I'm going to just make that simple. This trend hasn't changed, baby. Buy it. Fun. I get where Horror Acolyte was saying it's kind of middle of the road, like it's not exceptional or anything. But I also would say it's still worth experiencing just for the puzzles and the sword play with those puzzles.
Andy.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think it's a fun game. There's a couple of things that, like, you know, between my own review and Horror's as well too, you know, maybe needs a little bit of improvement, you know, but that's games in general. So yeah, I'd say it's a buy it for me.
Horror.
I'd put it at a try it, but as I was saying, like for a sole dev project, he did a fantastic job, and for what the gimmick of the game was with the giant sword, it was integrated quite well. It just didn't do enough for me to stand out, but it is like super reasonably costed too, like, so, you know, take with that information what you will. But yeah, it's a good game, just not, you know, great in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, we see some updates in the future. Maybe we could take another look or give a re-verdict. I don't know. We'll see. Andy, that is it for you. I know you got a lot going on. We were going to let you get going so you could go get some rest.
Thank you, my friend. Appreciate you guys.
Do you have any final words, Mr. Sperry Berry?
Ooh, tune in next week because we'll be covering some more games that are going to be more fun. I don't know about more fun, but equally as fun. I'll be back next week.
Cool.
This is 2 weeks in a row, dude. You guys get crazy. Yeah, thank you guys so much, man. Good to see you guys. Have a wonderful night.
Likewise, buddy.
Take it easy, baby.
Later, dudes.
Oh, 99.
Later.
Next up, Save Room, the Merchant, developed by Fractal Projects, published by Ratalaika Games, released November 21st. Xbox One, Series X and S, Switch, PS4, and PS5, $4.99. Buy, sell, and acquire crucial items required for combat missions while interacting with the Save Room's enigmatic weapons dealer. To progress through each level, you must possess specific elite and essential battle gear. In order to obtain the necessary goods, meticulously arrange your arms and treasures within your inventory. Then you'll need to engage in the process of selling your treasures to the merchant. Can you build your war chest? Aki, tell us about it.
This fucking game. Alright. So, this is very similar to another game that was made by the same dev. Also by a very similar name, Save Room. And basically, this is more or less the briefcase section of controlling your inventory that you would find in, like, Resident Evil 4. You buy some weapons, you buy ammo, what have you, from the merchant, and you try to fit it into whatever slots you have available in this specific briefcase.
All right, before you go any further, your first reaction to this was, this fucking game. The first one we covered, unanimously everyone loved it. Is there something wrong
including
this
me. Yes.
What
so
happened?
Much.
What happened?
the primary problem here, folks, is when you're playing the game, you have the game board, where for like your briefcase, you have the inventory area that's off to the side. That's whatever you've bought that isn't in your briefcase. And at the beginning of the level, you have to get all the shit into the briefcase so you can activate the merchant store. At any point during that, you can be controlling the icons, moving things around, and also interacting with the fucking menu that's above it at the same time. The problem is, if you hit A to pick anything up, you also hit A on whatever in the fucking menu you have selected. And would you like to know what those options are? Levels, which brings you back to level select, which means all the fucking progress you got for that level, fucking gone. Next one, exit. Wanna know what that does? It kicks you back to the fucking main menu. Wanna know what that does? Removes all the fucking progress you had for that level. And the last one, options. Wanna know what that does? It brings up the options. Wanna know what happens when that fucking happens? Resets your fucking progress for the level. Over and fucking over again.
So if it controls the menu up, like, how do you do anything if it's also controlling the menu up top?
It doesn't always have... It's not supposed to control shit that you're moving and the menu at the same time. That's the problem.
Oh, Trash Rando just redeemed. Something you're not going to be happy about.
No, I'm ignoring that this time. I'm pissed.
All right, I'll refund it.
So the problem is that you're supposed to go up into the goddamn menu by pushing up above the briefcase until you reach the fucking thing. And then you interact with those. And then you can come down, if you don't want to interact with those, and interact with the shit so you can finish the fucking level. The problem is, there's some fuck up that makes it to where you can occasionally control both at once. And would you like to know what you're never paying attention to if you're moving shit on your fucking screen? If any of those things has a button suddenly lit up. Why? Because it's way up at the top middle of the screen and everything you're dealing with that is mid-level of the screen or lower. I cannot tell you the amount of fucking times I lost all my goddamn progress on a level and had to sit there and spend forever to figure out how to fucking open the goddamn shop for that level again.
Okay, so let me see if I could translate this with significantly less profanity. It's the same game it was before. There's a really, really bad glitch, and if they could fix that glitch, it would probably be a lot better.
Yes, that shit. Yes. Mm-hmm. I'm so mad at this game because I want to like it because it's a puzzle game.
It's kind of ironic losing all your progress in a game called Save Room.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Well, I guess let's hold off here for now because I know what your verdict is going to be at the end of this.
You would be correct.
To Fractal and Ratalaika, if there is a workaround to this, or if there is a patch in progress for this, please let us know. We will be happy to reevaluate once whatever is all quote fucky wucky for Aki is taken care of. But I think I know what the answer is. $5. Give us a verdict.
I really want to like this because I do enjoy the type of gameplay, but constantly getting all my shit reset ruins it. No.
All right.
Unless they fix it, sure. But until then, fuck no. You're just going to drive yourself insane.
Fair. Hopefully they take care of it because I know the first save room was loved by everyone.
Issue.
Like this is the kind of game everyone loves, and if there's a glitch that bad ruining things, that's got to be taken care of.
There's another glitch I even forgot about until just now because I just got it and it just ruined this level.
Oh, no.
Sometimes, when you buy stuff, it sets it in that little area that I told you about that isn't the stuff that you currently have equipped. It's in just your total inventory. that also has an amount of spaces in it. Everything can fit in that if they really wanted, but it gets spaced on however it just gets thrown in there. And if something gets thrown in there and it doesn't fit because it's thrown things in there in a terrible, not Tetris-y way, it then brings up a menu saying, cannot buy some of the items. There was not enough space in the auxiliary inventory. The cost of these items wasn't debited. Close. You can't close the goddamn thing. So that menu sticks in front of the buy shop until you reset the level.
Oh. Wow. Ratalaika, please investigate and take care of this. We will definitely take another look. But for now, gotta skip it for now. Next game is Morsels, developed by Furcula, published by Annapurna Interactive, released November 18th, Series X and S and Xbox PC, Switch, PS5, and normal PC for $14.99. You are a hungry mouse scrounging for scraps in the sewers when you meet a magical sentient fatberg. What? Or what is a fatberg?
I'm not even sure.
You?
Oh, Aki, really?
Hey, it was low-hanging fruit. Someone had to do it, and Jacob wasn't here, so it was left up to me.
Yeah, well...
Go fuck yourself.
When you meet a magical sentient fatberg who teaches you to transform into a mighty little morsel. With your new powers, set off to dangerous upper worlds where you battle against the cat's oppressive forces and collect new morsels, strategically swapping as you go. Horror, it sounds like this is a cat game where the cats are the enemies. What's going on here?
Very much so. Essentially, these mystical cards fell to the Earth from another galaxy, and people or creatures in this case could end up wielding them and become different monsters called Morsels. The strongest of these entities could seize the cards, and then they eventually became these rulers known as the Card Barons. And all that's left under the rule of the Card Barons is the scraps that they kind of discard, essentially. And legends speak of this divine card that was torn to pieces and scattered across the land. And you start off as this mouse. Sorry, I got my head myself here. Morsels is a creature collecting action roguelite. You play as this mouse who has the power to wield the cards and turn into the morsels. Creatures with various unique abilities. And you start off on this quest to dethrone the Card Barons, who have kept the world under their tyrannical rule for far too long. You start off with a choice between one of two random morsels, but can eventually get up to 3 that can be instantly switched between at any time. Each morsel has individual health points. Once a morsel's health has fully been depleted, it is gone for good. And if all of them die, then it's game over. On to the next run. There are 14 morsels that can be acquired. A couple of those are a little intricate into how you acquire them. Essentially, I think it's 11 that can be routinely acquired and switched or added to your team with ease. Most of them utilizing some type of projectile-based attack, but some using melee attacks and other methods. A couple of my favorites were Gumzel, a small piece of used gum that blew bubble projectiles and had a special bubble that used as a shield.
Nice.
Yeah, and then there was Smugzel. I think it's supposed to represent this like smog kind of thing, but it looks like a small piece of poop, and it utilizes close range punches and a special lightning attack that paralyzes enemies. And then there was this like mushroom thing, I forget his name, but he like summoned more mushrooms that like kind of swarmed around him and would attack things, like a little summoning creature. It was pretty cool. The game controls similar to a twin stick shooter, moving with one stick, aiming and shooting with the other. Although you can shoot in specific directions with buttons, but that felt really awkward in my opinion. So I played the entire game from the perspective of like the twin stick format. All the characters have basic and special attacks, each with a separate bar that needs to be replenished for the attack to be used again, or at least partially replenished. with a special attack needing much more time to recharge. You also get a dash ability, which, as one would expect, also has a cooldown. I must say, by far, the best part of this game is the art design. It's this gritty, post-apocalyptic looking world with a gorgeous, muted color palette. You visit locations filled with waste and decay that still manage to remain charming. I know, Joe, you commented when you saw the trailer that there's like the CRT filter that comes as like the default setting. Really adds like a grittiness to the game. This can be turned off. I'd recommend keeping it on. But yeah, you can turn to have it off. You can decide to have it off entirely, or you can actually choose to increase the grittiness with some other filters if you so choose to.
You recommend keeping it on? Why?
I think it adds to the flavor of the game and suits the art design, which is weird because there's a lot of games that have CRT filters as options, and most of the time I'll keep them off. But in this one, I kept the base default one on. I thought it was fine. Yeah, I was
looking at the
screenshots.
Just I really don't like CRT filters, so I want to. If it's removable, I'd love to check this one out.
Yeah, there's a clean option, completely off.
God.
So you're good for that. But yeah, I think it looks best with it on personally. But the sound design is also really good in this one. Lots of like squelching, slurping, and other kind of guttural noises that make the world feel kind of extra gross. Also, it has this really calming soundtrack, which keeps the game feeling really mellow. Each area has 3 levels to visit, and then a boss level before moving on to the next. You move through each section essentially just searching for the exit and clearing any enemies around it, disposing of any enemies that get in your way if you so desire to. You'll come across rats wearing suits that shoot barrages of bullets at you, larger dust bunny looking things with giant fang-filled mouths running towards you for a tasty meal, swarms of jellyfishes just blocking your path, eyeball turret shooting red orbs at you. Slaying enemies drops experience, cheese, which is the game's main currency, health, and other items. You can also destroy garbage pieces in the environment to obtain these items as well. You can also find other useful objects around, like daisies that act as shields for your like additional health pieces, essentially. Single-use objects like a bird's nest with like a baby bird inside. It acts like a single-use turret that like shoots projectiles in all directions around you for a limited time. You get power-ups that are like single-use and can be stored, like an invincibility power-up, or I forget what the name of it was, but like a snake power-up that has these like 2 dual snakes expanding across the screen, just like destroying all the enemies in their path. You can also acquire upgrades called morbs. These give you enhancements like increased chance of finding.
Time?
Oh, there's an achievement that's called in that. There's one that for finding all the morbs. I think it's called a morb in time or something like that. Yeah, I like that. So yeah, the morbs give you enhancements like finding chance to find more daisies, extra dashes in succession. Extra attack abilities or special attack abilities, I think, as well. Every now and then you'll find rooms that lock you in with a stronger enemy. Clearing these rooms will let you acquire additional morsel cards. Each card also comes with a morb upgrade. Usually when you're given an option for a morsel card, you also get to choose between 2 of the morsels, as well as each of them comes with their own morb upgrades. So yeah, you get a choice of which one you want to pick from. Once you get enough experience with one of the creatures, it evolves into a larger, more deranged looking version of itself. Its attacks are similar but more powerful. For example, the bubblegum creature I mentioned earlier, it used to blow bubbles. Now it has more bubbles that blow more rapidly. Its special attack also creates, instead of a large single bubble, it's now a bunch of bubbles that slow and block enemy projectiles. So one downside to that, though, is if you upgrade an enemy, upgrade your morsel, and then it requires enough experience to upgrade again, it'll just die. So you kind of have to be strategic with using them, essentially, if you want to keep one around. Yeah, the game is meant to have them die, though, so yeah, you're going to go through them, at least a few of them, especially if you keep them alive over a period of time. Like if none of them are dying by like enemy deaths, like you're going to have them die by being over experienced, essentially. And yeah, if you there can be negative status ailments as well that you can get, like Deviled, which has like indestructible enemy just like floating around you the entire time that you can kind of like hit to push them away for a bit or dodge his attacks. Or Fated, which gives your character a limited amount of time to live. You can find cures to get rid of these status ailments, but they're fairly uncommon. I'm not sure if the spawn rate for cures changes if some of your characters become afflicted with things. But some runs I'd find very few cures, and other runs I'd find like a bunch of them. So I'm not sure what the spawn rate is for them. In between the levels,
important question. I am looking at the store page. I see a gigantic nose and a hoodie named Sniffles.
Sniffles, yeah.
What
about
fuck?
Sniffles?
That's my question. What the fuck?
So actually, I was just about to mention something regarding that. In between the levels, you'll encounter characters. Interacting with them will have various things happen. One such character is the Sniffles character you just described. He's one you see automatically, though, after each boss fight. And he will give you a choice between healing or kind of like a risk-reward system. You'll get like a status ailment on all your morsels, as well as like an upgrade. So you can have a choice if you're doing if you think you're doing poorly and you need to heal, then you can take the heal. But if you're doing well, you're like, oh, maybe I'll take a status ailment on all of them to like get a better upgrade. So you run into him after every boss fight. But yeah, other than him, there's also like this heron you can run into. He'll just take all your cheese. Doesn't give you anything, just takes all your cheese unless you give him a different type of in-game currency that's slightly more uncommon to acquire. So you gotta hope you have that when you run into him. Otherwise, your cheese is all gone. You run into a hippo that heals you for free, or a beached whale with like this extra mouth for a blowhole. And then that one will just give you an item. Lots of quirky kind of like evolved animals. Essentially, a lot of them are like evolved versions of animals with more deranged features, or become more humanoid in some way. Pretty much after every level, you'll see those people. You can find mouse holes inside the levels that'll take you to random areas. It could be a shop to buy items, a mini game to get extra items or cash. Now here's an interesting one. If you spend too long on a level, you'll hear this kind of mystical music start to play, and then this giant snake will spawn in and start making his way towards you relentlessly. And you're able to dodge him, but he'll make it very difficult to pass through the level without taking damage, and most likely kill you unless you reach the exit in a very timely fashion. As mentioned earlier, the final level of each area has you fighting a boss for that area. One such boss is Baron Ginger, a fat cat who transforms into this giant monstrous hamburger that chases you around the arena and shoots torpedo-like toothpicks with olives on them. It looks really cool and hilarious. There's only a handful of bosses in the game, so I don't want to spoil too much about them. Visually speaking, the bosses looked great, but unfortunately, I thought they were a little too easy. But the journey to get to them was substantially more difficult. Some of the levels can get like super hectic between dodging not just like enemies that are chasing you, but like traps and different kind of static kind of enemies, I guess you would say. Not necessarily traps, but like turrets or things of that nature. Then at the end of the run, you gain experience for that run. What's kind of the roguelite element comes into play. Gaining levels unlocks additional items that appear in future runs. And then one of the probably the most contentious part of this game is going to be its lack of explanation for a good number of its items and what it is they do. Usually each item will have a brief description, some more helpful than others, but a number of them will require you to be a bit perceptive or research online to discern their effects. Some are pretty straightforward, like there's a boxing glove you pick up, it says, for punching things, and then you'll see a boxing glove that spawns around your character and occasionally reaches out to punch things when you hit it. And it's like, okay, that makes sense. Then there's one item I got in another run where I forget the name of it, but it's the only run I've won so far. But the item's description was something along the lines of time is money and money is life. And I was like, what the fuck could that do? So I bought it. And then I noticed as soon as I bought it, slowly my cheese reserves started depleting every second. But I'm pretty sure it made me invulnerable to damage as long as I had money. So I'm not exactly sure how that worked, but that run I just won. I just like demolished everything. I don't know if that's exactly how that worked, but yeah, I had a lot of money saved up, so my cheese reserves were plentiful. But yeah, so there's a number of items of that nature. You also find random objects on the ground with similar scenarios. No explanation as to what needs to be done with them. If you're someone that likes that sense of mystery or doesn't mind looking up answers online, although I don't think there are many definitive resources on the game yet, I haven't tried looking things up for myself. I've been trying to play this, learn everything for myself. But yeah, if you're someone that doesn't have a problem with that, then you'll probably be fine. But if you hate that sense of not knowing or want a precise description for things, then be warned. Last thing I guess I have to say on this is, I guess another key thing to note is one thing about roguelites that makes a great roguelite, in my opinion, is a solid gameplay loop from a mechanical or a technical standpoint. And while this game does have a somewhat engaging combat system, I feel like most of the game's enjoyment comes from its art direction and its exploration and discovery of the world in general, or just like the game elements in general. So I would say there's more of a focus on the experience as a whole, as opposed to like the actual combat itself, possibly giving players like diminishing returns on like future runs once you've kind of discovered like all the objects in the game and gain like a good understanding of them. So yeah, once the mystery's kind of faded, I think the core gameplay elements might not really be as appealing. Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, the game clocks in at $15. What are your thoughts on Morsels?
As long as you're aware of kind of the issues I just mentioned a second ago, I think this is an easy buy it. Just considering like a roguelite is a game you kind of keep expecting to go back to like over and over again, get a lot of repeated use out of. But this is one where you're probably not going to play it for too long, but you probably have a good amount of fun with it for like a reasonable number of tries before, like I said, you start getting diminishing returns. So if you're aware of that going in, I think you'll have a reasonably fun time with it for the first X number of runs, however many that may be.
Cool. All right, let's go on to Into the Grid, developed and published by Flatline Studios. It released November 10th on Steam Early Access for $14.99. Become a master hacker in the cyberpunk roguelike deck builder. Explore the dangers of cyberspace and fight evil corporations. Build an upgraded deck of powerful programs, unlock perks and skills, and unleash digital hell on your enemies. Dive into the grid. Pernell, tell us about your time in the grid.
It was a fun time in the grid. Lots of violence.
Was it fun?
Computer.
Good times there?
Yeah, good times in the grid. Very rough and tumble. That's right. From the grid. Might be, no, the postage is pretty expensive. So Into the Grid is a deck building. I'm not going to call it a roguelike in this context. I can't think of anything roguish about it. But it's a deck building dungeon crawler. In which case, and I'm wondering what they're going to add to it with the early access. But as it stands now, you have a choice of 4 different locations, or rather 4 different dungeons that you can explore. And each of these things, of course, are randomly generated. It's not static, but they come with their own conditions. At the beginning of the game, you'll choose from one of 2 characters, each of which they have kind of different play styles. And then you will choose your dungeon route that you want to take. It is the beginning, tutorial, medium, difficult. That's basically what it boils down to. And once you do, you'll get thrust into the game. The game consists of you exploring a maze, and the maze is a series of interconnected rooms connected by doors or gates. When you enter a room, you will see a number of different objects that you could likely interact with. Nodes. Think of nodes as treasure chests, but in the case of this game's treasure chest, they each have one of 3 things you can choose. For example, one of the more basic ones will say something like, to extract meaning take money, the game's currency. I'll just call it money for the ease of understanding it. You can extra get the money that's inside the chest, or you can do what's called exploit, and it will make it so that future times where you obtain money through the action that's referred to as extract, you will get a bonus on all of it. So it might be worth doing that multiple times when you see it for a little while in order to make future chest runs, more lucrative. And there might be a third action that's really generally really cool, but is also very expensive. It might require you to use a expendable resource in addition to another element that makes this game particularly interesting, such as known as basically trace level increase. What is trace level increase? Well, you're in a grid, basically inside of a computer, and the computer is always scanning for intruders to take out. As you explore the dungeon, most of the actions, not most of, but quite a few of the actions again that you do will raise this trace level. And once you reach a certain threshold, the alarm level will go up. And the alarm level will result in a number of things happening, such as gates closing up on you and enemies being stronger.
Is that a netrunner mechanic?
Was that?
Is that a netrunner mechanic?
It probably is. I'm not the most familiar with Netrunner, which is depressing because I actually have a Netrunner board game, but I digress. Also, Metro Runner, too. That's a damn shame. But I'm going to go with you on that, and that is likely a Netrunner because it's essentially, hacking the grid and trying to keep the threat level down. But however, there are a number of things that might be resulting in this threat level going up. For example, fighting enemies. Fighting an enemy in the game generally results in the threat level increase. And when you do fight a monster, you'll go into a battle sequence. And I'd like to talk about that a little after this too, because that's the more involved aspect of this review. And then lastly, in regards to a room that might cause your threat level to go up, is there are watchers in a number of the rooms in the game. And watchers are computers that will likely signal an increase to your threat level or your trace level, depending on a specific action. For example, you might enter a room that has 4 nodes or treasure chests and 3 enemies. And the watcher will say, increase trace level for every time player interacts with a node, which means every time you want treasure that's in that room, threat level increases. And you don't want that. It's going to happen, but you don't want that. So be mindful of that. And there are ways to interact with that system to shut it down if you can get the right resources and tools to take care of that business. Now, back to enemies. Another thing that results in threat. When you get into a battle with a monster or a sentinel, or ice in the case of this game, you will be thrust into a pretty cool, first-person battle screen. I don't even know what game I would compare it to. That's the funny part. But it's basically a first-person battle screen where the enemy's facing you, and you are faced with your cards. Cards representing the actions that you can take as a player in this game. Now, this game does something different or rather unique in this genre, as far as I'm concerned. Yes, the stuff. Cards that you can play can be used for attack, defense, or utility, all depending on the type of cards you want to play. Playing a card costs a resource referred to in this game as clock. So just think of clock as AP points, action points. When you play a card, it triggers the effect of the card. You just take the item, take the card, drag it up to the enemy or enemy part you want to attack, or in the case of you being a card that affects you, just drag it off the card line and it'll trigger. Every one of these cards, however, generates a separate resource referred to as Vim. Vim, when reaching certain thresholds, will allow you to use one of 3 commands that you personally can equip to your character that can potentially help turn the tide of battle. You might play a card you might play the ability Scout, which is very straightforward. Lets you draw a card from the deck. But the one I like to use allows me to pull a card from my discard pile and use it for free. Perfect when you got expensive cards you burned 3 turns ago that you really would like to get off cracker free. Bam. So, that's how that works. It's a nice pull and pull between using cards, generating the Vim, and then storing the Vim until necessary to pull off a game-saving move. There are also cards that will actually benefit you from hoarding them, and I love those cards very much because I like to hoard my Vim like I hoard everything else. and it ends up being fun to kind of choose whether or not you want to push the envelope or not. When you've used all of the cards that you can on a turn, and it's time to end it, the enemy's turn. Now, before the enemy does get a chance, if you would like, the game will typically show you, unless there's an effect in play to prevent that, it will actually show you what the enemy's planning to do on their next turn, giving you the opportunity to shore up for what's coming. See an enemy about to do 221 damage and you're sitting on 20 health left, you might want to put up 2 shields to get 40 defense up for that one turn. But once you end your turn, the enemy will do his dibble dance, and then when he gets his turn done, it'll be your turn again. And I will say, I think the enemy's displays, when they do their attacks, are also generally pretty cool. They'll rush your character. They'll fire beams at your character. The screen will do that weird shake thing it does sometimes, like a first-person camera, like you're getting knocked down. It'll tip sideways sometimes when the enemy hits you on a nice spiral jaunty. It's really cool. The effects of that are wonderful to watch. Once the enemy's done, it's your turn again. You'll draw 5 new cards. Bada bing, bada boom, dance, repeat. And when the battle is over, you'll get a pittance of gold, or rather of money, and sometimes like a hash key or something. Why do I refer to it as a pittance? Because I really mean that in the case of this game. And I think that's intentional. You generally don't want to fight if you can help it. Because, again, fighting monsters or fighting ice generates threat level increases. And it will also just burn you out. You'll lose hit points fighting enemies. And hailing in this game seems fairly rare. So you want to conserve as much as you can. But if you got to fight, you got to fight. Now, if the threat level does go up, now I can actually talk about what threat level does. When the threat level actually goes up, all the enemies in the map get upgraded. They become stronger and more of a pain in the butt to kill. Sometimes they'll even straight up change to a better type of robot, not just get stat bumps or whatever. In addition to that, sometimes enemies that you beat before will respawn, but in stronger forms. And doors that you've unlocked will potentially lock again. They are not screwing around when that threat level goes up. So be mindful of the time and place when that is to occur. Don't leave yourself in alerts like I did one time where I left a healing tank, again, a find for me, in a room 2 rooms back. And I was like, well, when I get to a certain point, I'll go back and refill my health. Don't want to take it now. I'm too strong. It'll be a waste of like 50 hit points. So I'll go about my business, kill a bunch of guys or whatever. And I get to a point where I was like, man, after this battle, I might want to go back. I'm getting pretty low on health. And when that battle was ended, the threat level went up. Both doors behind me locked, and 2 new robots were blocking 2 of the doors. So I was like, well, I ain't going back there. I ain't going to try. But once you get to the end of a dungeon run, you'll be faced with the boss. And the bosses in this game are pretty freaking brutal. So don't think you're going to come in here and steamroll this thing, because you might be in for a big surprise. My runs have been ended multiple times to some of the jerk bags in this game. But it's funny because when I first started playing this game, way back when I first got it, I was kind of having a hard time really wrapping my head around it. It just wasn't quite clicking for me. But that quickly changed as I decided to give the game more time and not just let it bounce right off of me. Because again, I like the cybercrime theme, or the cyberpunk theme, and I like the graphics on display. I like how it performs on the Steam Deck. By the way, it performs very well on the Steam Deck. And it's just a fun time. I think this game is pretty cool. It's hard as all get out, though. And once it grew on me, it really did grow on me. I like going through the motions of upgrading my cars to get better attacks and getting the occasional driver, they call them in this game, which is the, I guess, like artifacts to benefit your stats or skills, maybe give you a permanent boon throughout the rest of your run, that kind of thing. I don't know what they have in store for this game in the near future, but I do look forward to seeing what they will do with it.
It is planned to be in early access for at least 12 months. They plan to release a total of 4 characters. I believe there's 2 in now.
Yes.
So they plan to release a total of 4 characters, each with their own mechanics, cards, enemies, and stories. They want to try different game modes and see how the community reacts. And then once all the content is released and tested, they want to do a final round of polishing and balancing and potentially add stretch goals. So as it stands right now on the ground floor, it is $14.99. Should people pick it up, add it to their wish list, follow it, ignore it? What do you think people should do with Into the Grid?
I honestly think, again, I feel disingenuous sometimes because this has been the night of buys for me. This is a good game. And I had it on my wish list before the review code came through. And I'm happy to say that this is a game that I can wholeheartedly recommend as a buy. It's a lot of fun. The card play in this, thanks to the secondary skills and uses of Vim, it adds another layer to properly selecting what weapons or what cards to use and when to pop off this special to pretty much turn the tide of battle. So I very much recommend this game as a buy.
Nice. All right, let's go on to Dollmare, developed by Almost Done Games, just like our podcast. We're almost done. Don't worry, people. Published by Feardemic, released November 7th, Xbox One, Series X and S, Switch, PS4 and PS5 for $4.99. You were desperate for money to pay the rent, so you've accepted a job offer at a doll factory. Oh god, that can never go wrong. What seemed like a way to make an easy buck turned out to be something much more sinister. Called it. Explore and uncover the factory's secrets, where each moment keeps you from guessing what will happen next. Horror Acolyte, I am guessing that what will happen next is that the dolls murder you. Am I correct?
No, that would never happen.
So what's going on in Dollmare?
Hug you.
Well, today is your first day at the cabin factory. Sorry, I meant the Sweet Cheeks toy factory.
Cabin factory.
This game may sound a little similar in premise to another game I reviewed recently called The Cabin Factory. But yeah, you hear the company that you want to go work for has a questionable reputation, but you really need the money. So you go to this job, someone comes over the PA system, welcomes you to the factory, tells you there's work to be done and to go put your uniform on. So you do so, and your job is simple. You're acting as a quality control employee, inspecting the dolls for defects. Dolls come down a conveyor belt. You make sure they have all the proper limbs, fingers, and don't have any dents. They seem fine. You put them on the approval line. And if not, they go into the garbage disposal. You'll see a green light signifying a correct assessment on either the garbage or the approval line. The dolls come down one at a time. You get to pick them up and rotate them in any direction to inspect them. There's some obvious defects, like the dolls missing a leg or dolls with no clothes that are somehow missing an eye and have nails sticking through them. There are some defects that are counted that were kind of weren't really specified on any of the outlines, like a blinking doll, for example. If you happen to place a doll on the approved line that has a defect, you'll get a red buzzer sound. I didn't see a red buzzer, obviously. And on this computer screen, it'll show you exactly what the defect was, or write in text. And then you'll know for next time to kind of what to look out for. For the most part, if it looks like anything is even remotely off, it counts as a defect for the most part. At the end of the workday, you get a report that pays you based on how many correct assessments you made. You can use this money to buy cosmetic items. And then just kind of stuff that sits at this desk you work at, like a nice little company mug, motivational poster that says success in large letters. And underneath that says, comes to those who don't ask for a break. You know, truly motivational stuff. On day 2, the sorting process gets a little more intricate. Now the dolls have a voice function, so you have to make sure they don't say anything inappropriate. Regular dolls will say stuff like the company name, Sweet Cheeks, or I love you. While defective ones will say something slightly more odd, like, do you bleed? Or open the window and fly.
Oh.
Something, kids should be hearing. Seems inappropriate. And at day 2, you also get custom orders. It can also come by in the fax. These are customer requests, usually looking for specific qualities in a doll, like green eyes, for example. Find a doll that has the chosen qualities. You go to a fulfillment room, grab a box, put the doll in the box, attach the order slip, put it in the order receiver. Fulfilling these orders gives you a little bit of extra pay. Move on to the next day, you guessed it, adds even more to the process. Now all these dolls that were missing parts from before, now there's defects, now you need to actually replace these parts. take these dolls to a repair room containing spare parts. You just pick up the dolls, you put them in this little grip thing, attach the limbs that they're missing. Once they're fixed up, they go on the approval line. That's assuming it doesn't have any other issues, which I don't think any of them did if they had limbs missing. There are 5 work days in total. I don't want to spoil what happens on the other 2, but essentially more gets added to the sorting process along with some moments to break up the tedium of the sorting. Not that there's an overwhelming amount of sorting in the game to begin with. On rare occasion, you may get additional faxes with strange messages talking about different safety protocols. You'll also find notes left by an employee who previously held your position talking about the odd nature of the job and the feeling of uneasiness and isolation associated with it. There's a small amount of story to be found in the game, nothing of substance really, in my opinion. You also run into other tasks you have to perform, like the lights may go out, you have to go turn the generators back on, or the conveyor belt starts working and you need to go and fix it. Or you may turn around and, oh damn, one of those little bastards is standing right behind you. You may hear them whispering to you in the background as you work. So some little like atmospheric stuff that makes it like a little creepy. Then there's some other things that I don't want to spoil like too much of what happens in the game because it is kind of a short experience. Probably looking at like it's kind of like a one sit down kind of game of like a 2 hours kind of thing, depending on how fast you're at the sorting process, I guess. But yeah, there's some paranormal type stuff that kind of happens too, I guess you would say. And that's probably the more interesting parts of the game, I would say, unless you really love the doll aspect. But yeah, there are two endings total to get. Upon clearing the game once, to unlock endless mode. I'm not sure exactly what that entailed, but I'm pretty sure it's just sorting the dolls endlessly on loop. It says you have one task: perform quality checks on the dolls forever. So I'm assuming, yeah, just sort them endlessly. Overall, the game is slightly creepy, more so if you find dolls, especially unnerving. For those who don't, I'm not sure if there's really that much here for those individuals. Yeah.
It is a $5 game. Expensive one. What are your thoughts?
I mean, it borders on like fuck it, why not territory, but like I'd probably put it on a try it for people who like doll themed horror stuff, because there's a little bit of creepiness there from the atmospheric stuff I mentioned and the dolls themselves. But if you're not really creeped out by dolls, I don't think there's really much here at all for you to enjoy this one, really, unless you love sorting stuff, I guess. But even then, there wasn't an abundance of sorting, so pretty much try it territory.
Works for me. All right, we got one final game to talk about.
SML After Dark.
The Sunwave Hotel, developed by Gladius Writing, published by Tiny Hat Studios. This one released back in June on Steam for $9.99. Want to escape to a sunny beach getaway packed with hot alien babes? An erotic visual novel with point-and-click adventure elements. Sunwave Hotel blends science fiction fantasy with tropical debauchery. And Aki, because we let you slide earlier without having to swear, you're not allowed to swear during this review. Go. Oh, I know. Have fun.
Oh, that's cruel and unusual. Okay.
It is.
SML After Dark, PG edition. PG-13.
That is some sick, twisted stuff. Okay, so in this, you play as, let's call it a delivery person. Yeah, you deliver packages worth a lot of money to people, and anyone who's in between you and that has a tendency to end up less than alive, we'll call it. So you're one of those types of people, and you and your partner get shot down from space and crash land on this tropical paradise of a planet. Woohoo, great place to land. And the people who shot you down apparently don't bother to come down to check to make sure you're dead. So, hey, that's great. It's already looking aces. And yeah, you end up on what is basically an island full of retirees. Various alien races, but mostly they seem to be either crocodilian or maybe dinosaur-esque types of humanoids. So first you get all your weapons taken away by the local police force, who has a hard eye on you because she does not trust you whatsoever, while there's this special agent who's like, oh no, they're fine, and he clearly is like just the super laid back, probably drunk half the time type of guy, and he's great. Everyone loves him. And yeah, you're just trying to get yourselves back off this planet to deliver the package that you were supposed to deliver. And now you're on this planet, and there are alien babes as far as the eye can see. Be it some devil girls to Cilia, which is a half woman, half octopus type individual, to a turtle-esque type individual, I guess, is what they're supposed to be. To, you know, a couple different humans, things like that. And you just slowly get pulled from what you were originally trying to do into all of these other people's businesses. Either just doing little miniature quests on them, or just having a bit of fun with them and growing close to them. I've already managed to get my character basically wifed up by one individual already, so that's cool. Oh yeah, and your partner is a woman, and she's hot, and you two bang a lot, so, you know, that's nice too. You do get to rename your character, however, there are some issues with the writing in the game. Not all of the places where the original character's name exists is replaced by whatever you've put in, which is kind of irritating. There's also a bunch of spelling mistakes. This is not just a straight-up adventure visual novel. This is a lot of point-and-click style stuff, so you get to interact with different individuals throughout this little idyllic tropical paradise, which allows you to go to various different places, interact with different people. Sometimes new little side quests will pop up for you to talk to people, and that is kind of an issue with the game, as I've found, because I've played 2 partial playthroughs of this game and found missions on my second playthrough that didn't exist at the same time in my first playthrough, which tells me there seems to be something a little hinky going on with the game that they probably should look into, just to see if everything's actually proccing like it should to actually open up these missions. Also, some of the missions I found acted like you knew information that I didn't have. Like, one of them, you meet with the police officer and she's like, well, you know, our friend, this person, found him dead. But I can't find anything about the tranquilizer that was used on him beforehand, because that's an illicit good here. I didn't know who she was talking about. I hadn't met this person ever, and I had interacted with everybody possible. I have no idea who the heck she's talking about at all, but it's behaving like I know exactly who this is and had done some missions with him or something. And that sadly is kind of the quality of this game. It looks nice. It is fully 2D. It's not the 3D like I usually do. But there's a lot of very small little issues with, like, just things proccing correctly, spelling mistakes. Occasionally, whatever you've named your character goes back to Zun, Xun, which is the original character's name, before you're told, hey, yeah, what's your name? So there's some issues that need to be worked out, but overall, I really enjoy it. There's both stills and animations. There's So not all the sex scenes are animated. Lots of them are just stills, but some of them also have animations. So you can play through it either way. You can play through it with the story attached to it, or just enjoy them, having their fun without any story involvement, if that's what you really want. So it gives you a few different options when you're boinking, which is pretty nice. And yeah, you can, for many of the girls, you can boink them as much as you want, because you can go back to your little guest house that you and your partner are staying at, and you can interact with the girls specifically to go boink them some more. So that's always fun.
All right. Big shout out to Dopey for coming in with the raid in the middle of that review. Perfect timing. Sunwave Hotels, $10. What do you think?
I think this is a try it at best. There are a lot of issues with it that need to be worked out, but I do like the visuals for it. It has a nice laid back kind of funny story. So I'm for it, but because the issues, I have to say it's a try it.
Gotcha. All right, and with that, we are done with this episode.
At 1:20 in the morning.
God.
I'm already. Yes.
Yeah, we are all exhausted. We are all tired. This is what happens when we start at 10. Big thanks to everyone who came on to hang out this whole time. Big thanks for Andy for doing his thing. I don't know, music, I'll play something. Let's just, I guess, wrap this up. And Chris, we'll give you final words. Give us some final words to wrap up the show.
Caladrius Blaze is on sale for like $4, so go get it on Switch. It's a it's a little bit of an After Dark kind of game, but it doesn't have any nudity. But you do shoot the clothes off women. But
it's a good game.
Aki is so confused right now. She's like, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no.
You're gonna work for it. It's a tough game, but it's so fun.
Yeah, it's got a really easy mode though. So but yeah, it's like
Aki likes them easy.
It's super cheap. Yeah, it's super cheap. It's super easy. So that's my final words.
Favorite things.
Yeah, go buy that.